my own fucking name. Greetings, motherfuckers. I'm only calling you motherfuckers because you fucking voted for us to listen to fucking Stained. And I've had to do it for a goddamn week, at least 3 or 4 days, and oh my god. Welcome Dave and Duncan as well to the stream as always.
I'm on the outside, I'm looking in.
Oh,
Angsty Twitties are back. Back!
Oh my god, it has been such a hard week. My job has been
been a
really
while?
easy. It's been a while. Oh, I've got things to say about that word too, but we'll get there in a little while. What's up, Pixie? Hello, everybody. How you doing?
What's up?
It's good to see you. As always, Dave's running this show, so why don't you introduce us to what the fuck we're doing tonight? Oh my god.
Twitch.
I don't want to.
What did you do? What did you go and do?
I love it. I'm 100% on board. This is the train wreck we deserve right now, ladies and gents. All roads have been leading to this. Can't wait.
Oh, what are we drinking this evening, boys?
I have
Because
got...
we're going to need it. Whatever it is you're drinking, you're going to need it.
This is all apple cider.
Apple cider.
It's
This is
2.5
water.
cans.
Water.
Yes. I want to be stone cold sober for my critique of the Stained discography.
Pixie bought stained remover. Oh,
How are we doing? How are we doing this evening? Ooh.
oh.
Do you want an honest answer for that?
Yes.
I'm just going to say that when we created the list, I said, let's put Pantera on that list. And Kyle said, I don't want to talk about Pantera. How's that sounding now, Kyle? How's that sounding now? Would you rather be talking about Pantera?
At least I
or
like
be
a few
talking about Sting?
Pantera songs.
As a bit of a joke, we kind of added this band to the list, really.
We did not expect this.
And it kind of sounded funny at the time. That'll be a laugh, we said. Thinking, no one's going to pick that, will they? Nah, probably not. They'll go for Slipknot or Pantera, or I was hoping Dillinger.
Dillinger was the one I was kind of hoping for, because that's a nice story. That's an interesting story. Instead, what we've got is a beige story. Sorry, grey. Greys are they've got like 13 Shades of Grey is the name of one of their albums, and I'm like, that's apt. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of grey in there.
There is. But in the end, the winner by an absolute landslide was Stained. Nothing else was even close.
Why?
Not even
Why would you
close.
bastards do this to us? We give you entertainment on a weekly basis, almost daily. We share our
For free.
opinions, which are never wrong by any stretch of the imagination. And you're like, yeah, we'd love to make you listen to 7 albums of fucking Stained. I didn't know there were 7 albums. I thought there were 3. When we counted them, I was like, you fucking what? I maybe could have done 3. 7? You can count them on 2 hands, you fucks!
Blame Paul.
Paul, you
Blame
fuck!
Eyeball Paul struck again.
Fucking... Right,
Well-
yeah, I'm okay. I'm alright.
You guys either really, really love Stained, or you really, really hate us. I'm not sure which. I have a feeling it's the latter, but
And I'm afraid to be alone.
yes.
Love it,
We
man.
are-
I've been singing Stained all week.
I've had no choice but to sing Stained. It's all that's in my fucking head all week.
So good, man. So good. Like the family's left me, which gives me the authentic Stained feel, because now I can just sit in a dark
family's
room,
left
kind of
you?
hunched over. Yeah, well, they're
What?
gone. They were gone. They were gone after day 1.
Too much Stained. Just
Yeah, too much. Stain's a brand new drug for your vein, Dave. So it's like everyone cleared out. They're like, he's in one of his Stained phases. We better give him a week. To be sitting downstairs in the downstairs part of the house with the lights all off, kind of hovering over my mic like this. Oh no, fam. Love it.
Fucking hell. Why did they take the E out of their name?
it's
I mean-
edgy. It's cool.
Well, I was going to say, it's new metal. Why does Korn spell their name with a K? And why is that backwards? Different.
Yeah, but at least they didn't just omit an entire main part of the goddamn word. Like, without it, it's just Stained.
Here's what I would like to put through as a qualifier first. Is Stained actually a new metal band?
I think maybe they started that way, considering their first album cover, if not the songs.
Because I kind of don't think they are. Like, I think they're kind of like post-grunge, I think, more than...
Yeah, I think there's certain albums that you could say there's a bit of new metal in there, but as the albums go on, it becomes less and less.
It's a little bit country.
If we took the E's out of
That's
our
what
names,
I
it would be
tune out.
Metal Epidemic. No, we wouldn't even be Epidemic. It would be something I don't really want to say on stream, because it sounds like pedo.
The Demented Raven. Stained. Love it.
Yeah, I think they started in the new metal way and went over to grunge, because they started to
Yeah.
be compared to other grunge artists of the time
Yeah.
in those later albums.
But
Let's be honest, it was
I
like,
think
that's not even the same.
Fred Durst has a hard on for this, right? Because like he signed them and he signed Puddle of Mud,
Yeah.
right?
I know.
Both that was his 2 acquisitions, and both of them are post grunge. And if you're Puddle of Mud,
You have one
shite.
song.
That's what I'm saying. It could have been worse. We could have been doing a retrospective on Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, but all of us went,
Everything is
no.
blurry. No.
The only reason I didn't want to talk about Pantera is because everybody talks about Pantera. So at least
But
the one
it's
thing
fun,
we
though.
have about this is that nobody fucking talks about Stained anymore. So this is the most attention
Well-
they've gotten in years.
I was saying to Dave before we hit record, Stain's last album, 2012, a live album. Their new album coming out, not September, Dave, coming out in May. So this is apt. We're right on the cusp. Their new album is a live album, so no new material. So they've waited essentially 9
We could
years
have
to
done
release
Mudvayne. We could have done Mudvayne, and we could have
done
the same.
Mudvayne, who are reuniting.
could have
But
been
yeah,
awesome.
Stained, the brand new live album coming out next month. What did they call it? It's been a while. I mean, it's the
Motherfucker.
gift that keeps on giving, lads. It keeps on giving.
Right, I'm going to get right into it. That word, a while, is a word, a while, right?
Yep.
Right.
What they mean is it's been a long time in the song, right?
Yes.
The word a while means a short period of time. A while, in 2 words, means a period of time. They can't even fucking English. Ugh.
I mean, time is a flat circle, Kyle. How long is a piece of
Everything
string?
about this band just makes me irrationally angry, and I don't know why.
I am so happy you're so angry. This is
know.
like,
It's
never
awesome.
show me weakness. Like, Dave will tell you, like, see, as soon as you show me weakness, I will double down on it. Fucking hard. Like that. Like, you never show me it. Like, never tell me you hate a band, because that's when I learn all the lyrics.
Yeah.
I have more
That's
useless
fine.
lyrics
You
for bands
singing
I
it
don't
is
like
not a
up
problem
here.
because at least your voice is pleasant to
You
the ear.
say that.
Aaron's fucking
You
voice
say-
makes me want to just throttle him and everyone that made him a thing. His entire ancestry. All of them. Like, all of you people that led up to Aaron all made a mistake. His singing is just so... Everything they do is just so
Well,
uninspiring.
People voted for it because they
People
wanted to
voted.
hear our. I was going to
So-
say, like, talent. Talk
Maybe I
about
shouldn't be the
I
one
don't
to
know.
start me on.
We
No,
are
this is
so
perfect. Keep it.
we are going to be discussing the back catalogue this evening, not including their live albums or greatest hits albums. And once we have discussed all of the albums, we're going to go through them in release order. We are going to rank those albums from 7 to 1. And at this point, we don't know what each other thinks of these albums.
I
So-
have a strong opinion that I feel what Kyle thinks about these albums.
I tell you
Don't know
what,
gave me
I'm
it.
not
I
gonna
think he's
lie.
not a fan.
After listening to all 7 of their albums, Stained have actually grown on me. Like a tumour.
Interesting. I think.
It's not a tumor.
It needs to be removed.
So, Stained, the American, well, we'll get into genre in a second, but the quartet featuring Aaron Lewis, Mike Shock, Johnny April, and John Wysocki.
Right. Well, one thing, Johnny April sounds like a porn director.
He really does, doesn't he?
Right. It's like Jackie Treehorn and then Johnny Angel. I like they have some sort of porn plant somewhere.
Yeah,
I think that's what you call a
absolutely.
factory that shoots
100%.
porn plant.
The band was formed in '95 by Aaron Lewis and Mike Mashock. Originally started as a covers band,
Makes
playing in clubs for about a year and a half. And then in October '97, Stained acquired a concert slot through Aaron's cousin Justin Cantor with Limp Bizkit. Just prior to the performance, Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst was appalled by Stain's grotesque, self-released 1996 album
It's
cover.
not even that bad.
I know. And
Well, if
unsuccessfully,
you're Fred Durst though,
he's
though,
appalled.
come
Aaron.
on.
He unsuccessfully attempted to remove the band from the bill. Durst thought that Stained were theistic Satanists.
I didn't realise like all the lyrics about shagging and shit like that made him a super Catholic. I don't know. So this is territory I'm not familiar in. What I'm saying is keep talking, Dave, and abort me right now. Yeah.
After being persuaded to let them perform, however, Durst was so impressed that he signed them to Flip Records in February 1998. We're going to start at the beginning.
Oh, we could have been doing Limp Bizkit. I think we missed a trick here. The amount of fun that I would have had with that, man, honestly.
That would have been
The
better.
amount of times we would have got to see fuck and count them as well.
Yeah,
And
I
they
could
use
have
it
had a
as a
little
lyric.
fuck counter.
I don't think you understand what fuck counter actually means, Kyle. It's a surface where people are fucked. Right?
So we're actually going to start.
Gonna need a different website.
Also sounds like the worst truck stop for food. You know what I mean? Have you tried those tacos at the fuck counter? Yeah.
No, but I've tried the
Spicy.
crab.
Yes. Yes, that man. Fucking yes.
So we're going to start pre 1998 because although their first album on a label was Dysfunction, they had an album before that. I didn't even know about this album until about 3
How
weeks
did you
ago.
not know about this album?
Never knew about it.
You know what it is? Because you're not a theistic Satanist.
No,
like
I'm not.
myself, obviously, by Satan. But you know what I mean? Like,
You've
no,
clever-
I knew about. I listened to this. This was a Napster download way back in the day.
Napster
This was,
download.
yeah, this was a.
Fuck.
I can't get this. I
Right.
need to hear this.
This is I'm not fucking paying for this. I want to laugh at it anyway.
Well, it wasn't available over here, so you couldn't actually. They self-released it, so you couldn't actually physically buy it. And in their early interviews in Kerrang, that story that Dave so eloquently told about Limp Bizkit and all the rest and how they got signed, literally was the kind of, oh yeah, we have this thing you can't get, and I was like, you know where it'll be? Napster. And Lars Ulrich, a little part of his soul died that day. And he's like, oh no, another Napster. Oh no, they're killing the music industry. But yeah, I got it then. I listened to it, and we will get to opinions. But my first thought was surprisingly bland.
Someone thinks you're
So-
old in the chat, Duncan.
I am
Mention
old. I'm
bland.
40 this year, right? When this album came out, what was it? When Dysfunction came out, it was 99, wasn't it?
If only it had killed the music industry.
Dysfunction was 99, yeah.
Yeah, so Dysfunction was 99, so that was the year both me and Dave met in college.
This is true.
And new metal was just like almost at its peak. I think it's 2000s classed as the peak.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like I literally had nothing but new metal. That is all. Dave hated me for it, but that is all I listened to. So yeah, it was all new metal, and I had the Jinko jeans, and I had
The Jinko
fucking
jeans.
wallet chain which had the 8 balls on them. 'cause that was
Oh,
cool
the 8
as
balls,
fuck.
yep.
I had
Yep.
the criminal damage jeans and the chain that was like off a fucking boat. It was huge.
Oh, yes. You had to tuck
Anchor
the
chain.
anchor in your back
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah. Like,
ship
oh,
was
why
still
walking
attached
so
to it.
funny? I'm like, oh, it's not the anchor. I shit myself.
So yeah, so this is weirdly, this is why I talk about new metal so much. Like, where a lot of people are like, you know, thrash was my informed years of music. I'm a little bit late for that. So to me, like the bands I started getting really into were off the back of bands like Korn. So and yeah, this is the first. This is this is technically the second wave of new metal. And Stained were one of the big band, mostly because Fred Durst here, right? Fred Durst becomes an A&R guy as a way to make more money, which is sensible, and signs Puddle of Mud, signs Stained, and almost signed Taproot
Yeah, true.
back in the day, and I fucking love Taproot. And I can't understand why, because if you listen to their demos, they didn't sound post-grunge, but they did have a lot of rap in them, which maybe... And they left them that infamous message when they signed with Atlantic Records, where he basically phoned them up, left them a voicemail message where he chewed them out. I don't know what that actually means from Fred Durst. Imagine there was a lot of woo-has in it, though. Woo-ha! You know what I mean? How dare you not sign to my label? Take us to the Matthews Bridge. Like... You tell him, John Otto, bring that beat back. So yeah, I mean, so I checked it out. We're obviously going to get to it. I appalled that you plucked this, as I would not even touch this with a barge pole in terms of talking about Stained.
I felt like, because it is listed as one of their albums, even though it's self-released, released in 1996, I felt like we should maybe listen to it so we know how it all started before we get to Dysfunction. The album was called Tormented. It was, as I said, self-released in 1996. So this was before they were signed with Red Durst and all that sort of stuff. And I looked at the artwork, because after I read that story about him being appalled, I was like, appalled? Let's check this artwork. I would argue that some of Stain's music is more appalling than that artwork, to be honest.
No, the runtime. Let's talk runtime, Dave. Self-released album runtime, which is clocking over 70 minutes.
Fuck me.
Unless you are fucking... well, there's a reason behind it, which makes me hate them even more for this release.
Yeah.
Don't do that on your own. Like, see, when you self-release something, you don't get all cutesy and put 13 tracks of nothing at the start, or you know, like one track at the end which has like 5 minutes of dead noise before you come back in. You do that when you're signed.
Not only did they have 5 minutes of nothing before they came back in, the song they came back in with was not worth coming back in with at all.
No.
It's just like, and now here's some acoustic guitar that fucking sucks.
The Devil Horns, aka Paul Kearney, thinks this is their best album.
Paul Kearney, this is the very reason that you should be breathalyzed before you come on Twitch. like legit.
So
Paul, how did you hear this album?
It's on YouTube.
Right.
I know, Tormented. It's like, not only is it unneedlessly edgy, it's like he wrote the lyrics when he was 14 years old and just never moved on. Just, that was it. Just like, yeah, this sounds good. And the rest of the band, we're not really listening to him at all, so we don't know what he's playing. I'm just concentrating on my fucking generic, bland riffs that I wrote in my basement. And the drummer's like, I'm here too.
My favourite thing that's been written. 5 minutes of nothing and then it's not worth it. Sounds like my ex.
Bravo. So the cover of Tormented depicts a bloody Barbie doll on a crucifix with nails hanging from a plastic frame, a buried person with a rosary protruding from the person's nose, and a knife impaling a Bible.
I wonder how Fred Durst thought they were Satanists.
It's not that bad.
Mike from the band said the cover art was meant to portray someone who seemed normal going through a difficult time and represent someone who had lost belief in everything. It wasn't supposed to be a religious thing.
Well, one, you remove the crucified Barbie. Two, maybe don't stab a Bible. Three, maybe remove the rosary altogether. Like, if they were like literally 3 religious symbols there, and you've corrupted them. I think
if they wanted
someone
to
is protesting,
give them a message of people going through a difficult time and not really enjoying their life, they should have just put a photo of the band.
The band members having to work part-time in a Starbucks because they're not making any money off the album. Maybe a better portrayal of... You know what I mean?
So, what did we think of Tormented, the band's self-released album from 1996?
Dave is tormenting me right now. It's, like I said, it's just not very... It's not even that it's not very good. It just doesn't have the stuff that would come like what I think there's maybe a marginally entertaining album in here, but what it needs is a really good producer. I think their songwriting's not very good on it in terms of structure. I think some parts play far too long, and it's a bit self-indulgent, which once again you do when you're signed. That's when you become all self-indulgent and kind of wanky. But yeah, it is raw sounding. So if you want to hear raw sounding Stain, why you don't want to do that? If you want to hear that, then this is definitely it. And there are elements here, specifically like an earlier version of Mud Shovel and stuff like that, which kind of transition. So you can on some level, I can kind of see where Fred Durst was coming from. If he hears them in a live setting, bands sound different in a live setting than they do tend to be when they're recorded. I imagine he's like, oh, there's a couple of songs in here with a good producer.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me. And he was right. I mean, granted our opinions on it. Stained have sold way more albums than they should have. But yeah, I mean, my biggest problem with it is I just don't think the songwriting is very good. I think it's a lot of kind of ideas that just need trimmed a little bit or like just reworked. Yeah, that's my feelings on it.
I feel a wee bit different. I think musically it's possibly one of Stain's heaviest albums, both in tone and the lyrical themes. Like there's a lot of kind of lyrics about depression and suicide and stuff, and it may be
because he says it right out. I'm depressed. I'm suicidal. It's like write a metaphor, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, I mean that it's not the only album that contains those themes, but it may be just a coincidence that this album came out round about the same time as Creed's My Own Prison, because I was like when I was listening to it, there was a couple of similarities between the two albums. The Creed album was a bit more mainstream, granted, but it's probably the darkest albums both of these bands have released to date. And I think there was something about Tormented that was less formulaic than some of the other stuff that they've released after that. Yeah. Less cliche, if you know what I mean. And possibly the least whiniest of all their albums.
By far, by a country mile.
Stylistically, it's quite unrecognisable, like to the band that went on to release tracks like It's Been a While or Outside or whatever. You can still hear some similarities in the follow-up and Dysfunction, which we'll get to, but in comparison to like 14 Shades of Grey or Chapter 5, it is quite different. And in all honesty, I didn't mind this album at all. As you said, it's very raw, it's unpolished. Almost sounds like more like a demo than like a studio album. But I think it's quite a gritty kind of sounding album, especially like vocally. I think that the bass is way more kind of central than it is on a lot of the kind of newer albums. There's like bass lines that are actually memorable, whereas now, like, well, we'll get to that. But I liked that some of the guitar tone. It was quite a kind of gutsy tone. It was like a kind of like a mix between metal with something more kind of grungy, if that makes sense. Mungy, maybe.
Mungy, nice.
Let's call it mungy.
Yeah,
let's go with that.
Mungy.
I like that word. It does sound like an insult.
Yeah. And I think okay, his lyrics and his vocals on it are a wee bit cringy at times, but I mean, it does not a bad like angst-filled kind of performance on that album. Considering it's their first album, it wasn't bad. The only thing I would say about this is, although it has the heaviness, it's got the gritty tone. As you said, it's not very memorable at all.
It's not got the songs. That's the thing. Like to me, like, and I'm not saying that you said this. Heavy doesn't denote good.
No, it doesn't.
Like I mean, I gravitate towards heavier music, but to me, it's the songwriting. Like bands sometimes hide poor songwriting behind heaviness. Like we'll just shove on a distortion guitar, and you'll play really, really heavy and loud, and we'll get through it. And I think that's maybe the issue for me.
I didn't come on this podcast to be fucking attacked, Duncan.
Well, what I would say is, even though if you listen to their albums as they go on, obviously they become better songwriters. But I think this album is still better than some of the stuff they did, like after.
Oh, later, later on. But I think there's I have a theory on that.
Okay.
I have a theory specifically pertaining to they have System of a Down syndrome, basically, but in reverse.
Well, they let the guitarist sing.
No. As in, like, in reverse, so where the guitarist kind of takes over, I actually think the vocalist takes over in the later albums. And that's the problem. I think the grit and the heavier stuff that you like and I gravitate towards in Dysfunction is more led by Mike the guitarist, and I think later albums are more led by Aaron Lewis. That's why he's had that whole solo career and all the rest.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't have the big hooks. You know, I mean, it's, as you say, it's to do with songwriting. The songwriting wasn't there yet. I don't think it was a bad album. I just think it's a bit forgettable, to be honest.
The best hook on that was in Mud Shovel, and all it is just a scrape of your finger down the fucking strings. I'm just like, Adra,
let's
oh my
talk about
god.
Oh,
39 months subscribed to
39 months.
39. That's nuts.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah, not a while.
What,
Thanks,
while
Andrew.
we're
That's
on,
awesome.
while we're on Mud Shovel, let's just
Yep.
just talk about that for a second, because this is a track obviously that's on this album, but then it reappears on Dysfunction.
No,
Quite
that was a single hit single.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And to be honest, the version that's on Tormented is a very similar version. You can hear small tweaks between the two versions, like there's some of the drum fills are different. There's a couple of alternative kind of vocal changes, a couple of chord changes as well that are different, which I think some of them work, some of them I wasn't so keen on. But I thought there was one part though on the Tormented version which is way heavier than the version on Dysfunction. There's a part of the song where he's saying mud shovel over and over again.
Yep.
And the riff that plays underneath that is way better than the version on Dysfunction. So I'll give them that. But you could tell it was a track that had potential. It's probably one of the better tracks on Tormented overall.
It's probably the best one they've ever written, ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
I don't know if it's the best. I have opinions.
We all have
Can't be
opinions. Oh,
Opinions?
Kyle, what about you? What did you think of this album?
I fucking hated it, and then I listened to it, and I
Okay.
hated it even more. It's just,
Oh, really?
it's so fucking unimaginative in every way. I just don't even for 1996, like grungy new metal stuff. It's like all the riffs, mungy, yeah,
Mungy.
right.
Yep.
All the riffs are so
Hashtag Mungie.
even for that, they're just so generic. It's like, and now we're going to play a power chord again, and I'm like, oh,
Well,
And
there's
the-
generic, and then there's generic.
Yeah, let's set the confine and the explanation behind the word generic before we go further, because let's
Oh
'cause
my
that word is
God.
going to be cheapened very quickly if we
yes,
use
it
it just
is.
now.
It's just it could be the soundtrack to any scene of a movie in any genre of a group of people sat in a rock bar talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's all it is. That's all it's got going for it. How the fuck they got signed off the back of that with Fred Durst means there was either that cousin, which means that Stained are the absolute epitome of the meaning of it's who you know, not what you do. And two, I forgot what I was going to say because fuck them.
But isn't this the? It's the job. Weirdly, like, love him or loathe him, Fred Durst got 2 home runs here. I don't. I mean,
He must have been high on fucking drugs because if Stained
But
were
I
the
think
most
it-
important thing coming out of goddamn Massachusetts in 1996, what the fuck was going on in Massachusetts? Did everybody
But,
flee
like,
the state?
Here's the thing though. Like, an A&R guy's job is to find. It's basically to find what will be something that is commercially viable, right?
You got that. They
To
were
hear
commercially
through that,
viable.
so something in that performance, which we never saw, but something in that performance, Fred Durst saw and went, I can make a lot of money off this. So, and I think, in most part, once again, it's a double-edged sword. I think the high selling point for this band, and also its biggest turn-off, is Aaron Lewis, the singer.
Yeah.
He croons, and that kind of, he's like you mentioned Creed earlier on, he's like a less deep Scott Stapp.
That's
And
talented
I mean that
too.
in
His
every,
singing is
every
horrific.
level as well. Lyrically, like muscular profile, because Scott Stapp's like, get it, hashtag get it. But yeah, I mean, I think there's something. He heard something. I think he heard something to the point that he's like that. We get a good producer behind this. I can't remember who produced Dysfunction, but we got a good producer behind this.
Terry Date.
Terry, well, there you
Well,
go.
well.
We get Terry fucking Date.
Yeah. There's a couple of producers which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, but there's a part of me that thinks, we got a good producer behind this. We do some quality control in this songwriting. We take songs which are I don't know if I'd fully agree that I think the Dysfunction version of Mud Shovel is the better single. I don't think you could have released the original version of Mud Shovel, even if it had been polished up with
Yeah.
better recording as a single. So they made it into a single, which once again is kind of the job of the producer.
Yeah.
So we're rallying against them, but in a lot of respects, a lot of what we're rallying against is not necessarily Stained, but it's the record label, it's the producer, It's the the mixer and all the rest. It's the record
no.
industry. It's what we're really angry at.
Oh,
It's the
fuck
record
those.
industry. He didn't bite. I
No,
thought,
he didn't.
I thought he was going to bite. He's so red misted on Stained at the moment that he's not biting at anything.
No.
But like, it's literally I mean, like the all that rawness that you heard on the previous recording has been knocked out them on Dysfunction, and that
Well, a
sets
wee
the
bit.
yeah.
there's still a bit of
yeah,
rawness on
I'll give you that. And then moving forward, there's just more. Well, this song sold loads, so we need
Yeah.
to write an album that sounds like this song.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next album has lesser quality of that song. And then it's like when you had like an old VHS tape and you recorded something and then you kept recording over it. And then eventually you get to a point where you can't fucking like you can see bits of old things coming through it. You have to
Yeah.
shove a pencil. A VHS is an old format for anyone listening. I'm an old man, but that's literally what it's like. Or a cassette tape, which dates me even more. And you would keep recording over the cassette tape. That's just like what you get is every album that comes out after is essentially a kind of a lesser quality version of whatever sold well on the previous album.
Yeah.
So I'm not defending them. I just want to stress.
Okay. Okay.
Not defending them before the hate mail comes in.
I actually forgot. I think on our last Twitch, we put up some downloads to some of the albums that we discussed.
Yes.
So preparing in advance this time, I have got downloads of all the albums that we're going to discuss. So I'll put a link in the if you really want them. I'll put a link.
Get him in the
Twitch
Metal
chat.
Epidemic Discord. Don't put him in the chat. There's licensing issues. I cannot get around with that. Put him in the
Put 'em in
Discord.
Discord.
We'll
Okay,
go to the.
okay.
If you
In the
really want to
Discord.
hear all this shit, go to Discord.
In the Metal in fact, you know what? In the Metal Epidemic Discord, I'll put a link to that in
Yeah.
there as well.
If you're not in the Metal Epidemic Discord, you've got to ask yourself why you're on the outside and you're looking at.
How does it sound better coming out of your mouth than the dude that's in the band?
I don't know. Like the really worst thing is I was in a new metal band in 2001 and we covered Stained.
Oh my god! How did they
Much
let
of all. Much of
all.
all. Yeah. Covered much of all back in the day. You take away. Love it.
Oh.
So, Pixie,
So-
ban Duncan. But then we played a gig once, and then our gig, oh, I swear to God, we played a gig, and our guitarist at the time, as a mutual friend, played in he did guitars for the band that me and Dave were in. Started the show by got that. Do you guys like Slipknot? And people were like, yeah. And he's like, well, we fucking don't. Here's a Korn song, because that was going to give us credibility. I fucking love it, man. Absolutely cringeworthy to the max.
So yeah,
Man.
join our Discord. I put a little link in there, and there's some other people put some links in there. Cheers for that. And I will post a link to download all of the Stained back catalogue if you really want it, including that album Tormented, which wasn't released on any streaming platforms and stuff.
It's
so
on
I'll put that in there.
Spotify, whatever it's called, isn't it? No, it's not.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Because they're like, this sucks. We're not putting it out. I'm like, oh, you should have started there.
Yeah, I imagine he'd
Jesus.
probably have distanced himself very far from that.
Mostly because of the album
Yeah.
cover that Fred Durst didn't like.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
appalling.
pussy.
apparently.
Well, if he didn't see it though, he wouldn't probably have listened to them for confirmation that they were Satanists, and they would never have been signed. So the tactic worked.
Yeah,
Yes.
only
And
because he had a
his,
cousin
we
that
didn't
knew
mean it to
Fred
be
Durst.
offensive or whatever. Bullshit. Just tell the truth. You did a shock album cover to get attention.
Yeah.
Like that is literally what every band. Like, do you think Slipknot wear the masks because they want to wear the masks? No, they wore the mask because it's clever marketing. Don't
'Cause
do
they're
the head
ugly.
new metal head tilt you just did there, Dave. Dave's like Wes Borland head tilt. All the
I've
guitarists
even
did it.
done
Come
that on
on.
a photo shoot. Oh my god.
Yep, they all did. They were
Oh,
playing
yeah.
at one point, then they look at the audience and go
Yep. Tilt your head. Like something's a
like
bit
a
off.
confused chihuahua.
Yeah.
You're like when you're speaking to your dog and the dog's looking at you and you're like that. Do you want to go out? And they're like, that's the
Oh, you
new
want to
metal
listen
head
to new
tilt.
metal? All right, we can do that.
It's a new metal head tilt. So it's the confused Chihuahua head tilt.
There's a dog whistle a mile away. It's like, huh?
So it's true. I listen. I fronted a new metal band. I know all the. Oh, I can give you the inside scoop, guys.
That's a scoop.
It wasn't very good. So.
Oh man.
Okay, so moving on, gentlemen. 1999, the year is. The album Dysfunction, recorded in Studio Litho in Seattle, Washington, produced by Terry Date and Stained, Jordan Shure as an executive producer, and as a co-producer, Fred Durst.
How do you executive produce an album?
He did. That means he showed up,
Yeah,
sat down, and
he
said,
brought the coffees.
You probably said
Yeah.
that.
sat
Russell,
down and
right?
went,
Yeah.
you know what?
Right?
This section here needs a Fred Durst rap solo. What do you mean I can't do it, Terry? Right, well, this section needs a Fred. What do you mean that? Oh, and that's how you get credited on it.
Yeah.
So
Fucking-
yeah, Fred Durst, co-producer, released on Flip Records and Elektra, April 13th, 1999.
So Flip was his label, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was,
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, if memory
his own,
serves, Flip
yeah.
was his, and it was through Elektra, the same way that Korn had Elementary, which was
Yeah.
through Immortal Epic.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think Elektra dealt with distribution and stuff. And yeah.
So, Dysfunction. So I think on this one, this is where you started to hear more of the kind of new metal elements coming in. It's still alternative, still grungy in places, but there is a definite move towards new metal. Kind of nu-grunge, we'll call it. It was released.
Jumanji sounds like the next version of Jumanji. You know what I mean? Did you like Jumanji? You like Jumanji. Like Robin Williams comes out of that in Jenko jeans with a big chain, with just like the thin pencil, like pencil goatee,
Oh yeah, yeah.
spiky blonde hair, where you can see the roots
And
were black.
massive stretched
Jumanji.
ear hoops.
nu-grunge. But 1999 though, it's a pretty bitchin' year for music. A lot of albums released that year that I still listen to, still enjoy to this day. Funnily enough, funny story.
Is it funny?
Well, maybe
Funny story
Duncan,
time with Dave.
Duncan actually let me hear this album and Taproot's Smile at the same time.
Yes. Well, not played over the top of each other. 'Cause
No,
that would be
no,
discombobulating.
No, that would be bad. But weirdly, I remember not liking either album at the time when you let me hear them.
Yep. Yep.
Smile took a bit of time. Oh no, it was a Smile. Gift was the album, wasn't it?
Gift was there's a track on it called Smile.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Gift took a bit of time to kind of grow on me, and it was the same with this album. To be honest, I didn't start to like this until years later, and
Could you say that it'd been a while?
you could say that. You could say that.
Look at him shake his head. Oh, he's so angry. This is amazing.
And a little bit of me kind of dies inside knowing that Fred Durst has had something to do with the production of this. Because
What did he do though, Dave?
Well,
what
we
did he
don't know.
actually do?
he's a co-producer, Duncan. You know what I mean? The co-producer's got, a lot of responsibilities when it comes to production.
Do they?
Don't know.
Literally was there making sure they didn't fuck up his investment. That is literally all he was doing.
Could be.
And also get his name on it, which means he not only does he get revenue for signing them, and they're on his label, which means he gets revenue. If he's a co-producer, he also gets more money.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking
True.
prick.
True. But yeah, funnily enough, I'd say it's probably one of Stain's most unique sounding albums, production-wise, anyway. Out of the albums that I've listened to, anyway.
I love the production on this.
Yeah, but in fairness, it's Terry Date that's
It's Terry Date
basically
that's
behind the helm. You know, I mean, Fred was only a co-producer, whatever that means.
It's because he
and
was
like,
sat there
if you
going,
look
how'd you get the guitar to sound like that? And everyone's like, Fred, sit in the corner and fuck off.
Why does his guitarist not have face paint?
Right?
Where's your Dex player?
Yeah.
You don't have one? That doesn't sound right.
No.
How'd you get back into the Ukraine?
Yeah, but it's no like. It's like if you think about the bands that Terry Date worked with, like your Panteras, your White Zombie, Deftones, Prong, fucking Overkill, it's not a real surprise that this had a bit of a streak of kind of individuality about it in terms of the production anyway. The guitars have almost got like a muddiness to them, but at the same
Love the
time
guitar tone.
they work really well alongside the bass is really kind of clangy sounding, and Aaron Lewis's vocals is probably the most kind of graveliest that they sound out of all the albums. I think for this one, like songwriting wise, there's definitely a big jump from Tormented to Dysfunction. Like they still kind of retained that heavy kind of bleak tone, but they managed to interject some more vocal hooks on this one. And like choruses that stuck with you way more than anything on Tormented did. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a more radio friendly version of Tormented in some ways. They've kept a lot of the same elements, went for kind of similar dark tones, but it's a lot more melodic and memorable than the previous album. It didn't actually do all that well on its release. I remember reading about it. It sold something ridiculous, like 30,000 copies or something like that on its first week, which is all right, you know what I mean? But it wasn't till I think it would probably be the end of like 99 and the start of 2000 when it started to pick up more attention because they got added to Family Values with Limp Bizkit, and then they went on like the Sick and Twisted tour with Korn. So I think that's when it started to kind of gain a bit of momentum.
Most metal tour name ever. The Sick and Twisted tour.
I know. But as we said, like on the Tormented, Mud Shovel appears on this again, and it was the biggest hit from the album. I think it landed at number 10 on the Billboard charts, and then eventually the album went double platinum. And then by
fucking platinum.
It's the most depressing thing I've heard in such a long time.
Yeah. By June 2000, it sold over 1 million copies. So a year later, sold 1 million fucking copies.
Dollar bills, yo. All about
Fred
that
Durst.
bank. See that? Making it rain, Dave.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were 1 million Trailer Trash mums in the US.
Well, turns out there is. Yeah.
I own this album. I'll have you know that.
Duncan's
was
one of them.
Hey.
One of those Trailer Trash moms.
I literally bought this the day it came out. And yeah, well, why does that surprise you? Like, we went into the shop that we used to frequent. They had a copy of it there. It was in the new release section, and I bought all the quote unquote metal albums that were released that week because I had a student loan, and I didn't realize that I had to pay that back. So yeah, I bought everything that was released that week. Well, every week actually. So I had a silly collection of music when I was younger, and I remember getting it. I remember listening to it, and interestingly enough, Mud Shovel at the time was my least favourite song on it.
Oh yeah.
Like I really enjoyed. Like there's a couple of what Duncan would call almost bangers on this album. Like
A limp banger.
a limp banger, which is what Fred Durst should have called his fucking record label and not flip shit. Limp banger release. So I like when this album came out, and I remember listening to it for the first time. Like I say, Mud Shovel never really stood out to me, but what I enjoyed about this one in particular, and I'll kind of go on record, still actually do, is Pixie, you need to like quality check these X's of yours, I swear.
Same X.
Just do a little bit of quality checking here. But when I heard it for the first time, the thing that stood out to me was that it sounded drastically different from what I expected from, because this was Fred Durst's band. Like all the publications were, Fred Durst has found this band. This is going to be great. Fred Durst has found it. You know, and I remember getting it and shoving it on and going, this doesn't have a woo-ha. This doesn't have a where's the rap? It totally did not sound like what I expected. I love the guitar tone in this. There's a proper horrible, ugly crunch to it. Which I can kind of get behind, but like when you're talking about like songs like Suffocate, I really enjoy that one. Raw, which is probably maybe the heaviest song on the release overall. The thing that always used to stand out, it was a kind of a laughing point with me at college, was that the like when I don't particularly like his screamy voice. It always kind of sounded like a T-Rex stubbing its toe. Like if you like next time you listen to it, imagine the T-Rex from Jurassic Park getting a really bad stub toe, and then listen to him scream raw. But I mean, there's I think there's once again, I don't know if I call this a new metal album. I don't know what it is. I'd like.
It's got like hints towards to it, but it's not really. Nah, I wouldn't put it in the new metal. It's got like a few riffs here and there, and the guitar tone kind of it does fit, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think
there are definite new metal elements on this.
But yeah, new metal elements doesn't make a new metal band.
No, it's mixed with
or a new
stuff,
metal release. It's definitely got, and what it has shades of things that were popular when it came out. Right, like, but how quick did they drop that?
Yeah.
So like next album, it's pretty much gone. Not completely, but it's pretty much gone. So I think it's more of the time than it is necessarily them trying to pigeonhole themselves as a new metal band. I actually think, in fairness, had this album come out, like if this had been their first release in '96, we wouldn't be calling them a new metal band at all. With the same sound and all the rest, we'd be liking them to bands like Creed, like you mentioned earlier on, and in that kind of posty alt grunge sort of thing. So I think the reason it gets lumped in that way, one, the album artwork doesn't help them. It's a very much a new metal album artwork. Two, Fred Durst is the guy that signed them, and three, the time it came out. Like, if there are so many bands that came out in 1999 that released albums that got classed as new metal that are not, like, were clearly not new metal, but they kind of get lumped in with that. And to me, the stuff that's the most interesting parts of that are the stuff that doesn't have that new metal tinge in it. It's the bits where Aaron Lewis is actually doing, disingenuous as it sounds, kind of heartfelt, lyrical delivery. The melodies are catchy. I can sing all the songs on this album, and there's diversity to it. There are some songs which have that kind of country twang or something. You listen to something like Home. I mean, that could be a country song, you know what I mean? But then you jump to tracks like I say, like Raw or Spleen, which are definitely heavier songs. So there's a good mix of diversity on the album, which makes it an interesting listen. I mean, it'll be a great listen for some people, but it's an interesting listen. Whereas I think as we get through these, there's one album in particular on this, which is just one song, just like from start to finish. So I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of that going in here. It's not an album I jump back to often, but it's an album that I will listen to in its entirety, which is not like some of the other ones. For sure, I'll put it on and I'll listen to it through, and I think there's something to be said about that. I don't know how much of that's Terry Date. I imagine a lot of that's Terry Date.
Yeah,
you know, like arranging songs, getting things a bit more tighter, polished to an extent. But yeah, I as new metal albums go from 1999, Dysfunction's actually a pretty good one. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah,
Kyle.
Of all the albums,
it's been a while since you spoke.
I had to internalize my rage. Of all the songs that they could have led with, why Suffocate? It's just
that guitar tone though when it kicks
in. The
in.
tone's great, but the rest of it's like
it's great way opening
they should have led with Spleen. You should have led with
Spleen,
Spleen. That's like the heaviest song on the entire album. That would have like piqued my interest and gone like.
But then
all
everything else isn't as heavy as that.
I know, but
That's
at least
why
I would have
they
been looking for it, and I wouldn't have been disappointed until the end of the album. But this time, I was disappointed from the first note up until track 9, and I was like, "Oh, this was not bad."
I think Demented Raven has actually got a hold of your iPad and read your notes.
No, I can't read my notes because it's all just the word "fuck" in massive.
Well, that's literally what she's written here. She wrote that Kyle's notes are, they're all shite, fuck off.
I mean, I'm on a podcast. I can't just sit and go, "Nah, they're all shite, fuck off." As funny as that is, I need to have an opinion. And to be honest, this is their best work. And it's like, but that's not really saying much because it's still Stained. It's like being the least dirty barrel in a pirate ship, you know? It's just, oh my god. I don't know. Mud Shuffle again. I mean, I know they didn't really release that first one, but I can't decide if this one's better than the other one, mostly because the most interesting part of it is the least imaginative. I'm just going to move my finger up the fretboard, and that's it. That's all they're doing on that song. That's how you make that sound. That's it. It's like you're not even playing the guitar. I'm just.
No one else was doing that, Kyle.
Everybody
No
was
one
fucking
else-
doing that. When
No
I was
one else
playing
was
guitar
doing
in
that, Kyle.
1999, I was doing that in my bedroom.
I mean, on an album, on a major record label, no one else was doing that over a
Yeah,
chorus.
because nobody was fucking stupid enough to put it onto a song. Oh, look at the sound that can make,
You
guys.
take away.
Jesus, I mean, it's got some elements. It's got some moments, a couple
We're
of
running
riffs
him over, Dave. We're running him over. He's a cave.
that I
Watch him
didn't
fall.
totally want to kill myself over. But they ruined it with the production.
Oh,
Late
no,
90s,
no,
early
no.
2000s. Have you seen the waveform on this fucking thing? It's like a brick.
Oh,
Terry
Kyle,
Date.
Kyle,
Terry Date
Kyle.
did a lot for this band. Unfortunately, it was not enough.
Kyle. How dare you?
The guitar tone
I mean,
is
this
amazing,
isn't
but
a
the
Twitch
bass is
stream-
more
This isn't
buried.
our Twitch stream, so we can't banhammer him.
The,
You know what I mean?
the bass is like more buried than the self-released one. I could barely hear it. I couldn't really pick out, and the bass lines
Mud
was.
Shovel's all bass.
Where's the
It is
fucking
the-
bass?
Yeah, but it was so buried and stuff, and it was like all of the attention was put on the guitar and the fucking vocalist.
Oh, Kyle.
But there were no drum samples, so that's 1 point in their favor.
I'm going to say that maybe Stained is the one band that you can say definitely 100% don't know what a drum sample
Yeah,
is.
they probably don't. Are you going to enforce that with a sample? And the drummer's like, huh? I can count to 4.
99, no. No one was giving a fuck about drum samples in 99.
No, not in 99.
Well,
I mean,
unless
there
you
were
were
a
Limp
few.
Bizkit.
There was a
Yeah, what-
Megadeth album around that
Well.
time when they had some, but that's multi-million-dollar production, not
What do you
stained
mean
level.
all
I used
about
a
the-
drum sample on my album?
It was all about the tight snare, man. In 99, it was crank that snare as
Yeah,
high as
it
it will
was.
go.
Staying there.
Okay, I'm not going to say the production
go
was
and tell
terrible because it
myself.
was not. The production was
leave.
great,
I'll just
especially
leave. I'll leave.
considering the year.
Love yous all. Love yous. Love yous. That was my best joke of the night. No one laughed.
I never even heard you.
Yeah.
I did like a classic
Do it
Dave
again. We'll just
Mustaine.
pretend we never heard you.
No.
I was a Dave Mustaine, all right.
Right, we'll
I
try
did a
again
Dave
later. We'll try
Mustaine
again.
there. It was great.
All right.
Like when it came out my mouth, I was like that. You know what? I could be Dave Mustaine.
Duncan
Can't play
Mustaine.
guitar. but I
Can,
could
yeah,
do that.
neither can he.
I'll segue some Megadeth in later so we can try it again.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
right, let's do that.
Okay.
I don't know
Hey,
what.
if there's
I don't
a
know,
new
all
way
my
out, the
notes
first in
literally do
line,
just say
Dave.
fuck, why. That's what my notes say. So I'm like, I
That
just,
could literally be a Stained lyric.
I know, it really could be.
He's gonna be ripping off Stained lyrics from
Yeah.
Aaron Lewis.
I do like the
Why?
yeah, why? I like that the producer clearly did push them to do something on this album, though, because it is better than Tormented. Because I mean, it's not hard to be better than Tormented. Let's say that right out the gate. But the producer,
harsh.
Fred Durst,
Tormented's getting a bit tight.
Fucking Stained. Yeah.
I think you guys are being a bit harsh on Tormented.
Tormented
Like,
is fine, especially since it's a self-released album from 1996. I've got nothing to say about that. It's absolutely. I mean,
I think
renting
when you-
studio time back then was difficult and expensive, and then they managed to get a studio engineer to listen to that shit for that long to actually produce an album, and it didn't totally suck production-wise. Songs, on the other hand, absolutely forgettable. But this one pushed that a bit further. Whatever Stained had, the producer managed to get it out of them and put it on this album. And that's why I think it's the best thing you've ever released.
It's the biggest crime.
Yeah.
Biggest crime in songwriting is writing something that's not memorable.
Yeah, which
And
they've
that's
done.
an album of a lot of things that aren't memorable. So
Yeah. So what have Stain got? They've got Mud Shovel, and that other one that's famous. It's been a while, and
Outside.
79 outside. All right, yeah,
Oh,
true.
yeah.
All right, so they've got 78 other songs that I can't fucking remember, and neither can anyone
Well, I know
else.
a lot. I know them all, but I don't.
No, you don't.
I think. Well, we'll get to the next albums in a minute, but
Dave is like Dave has like he's got a secret weapon, like, and he's getting ready to deploy it.
Yeah.
It's the brown stallion coming down.
There it is.
Oh, it's always there. It's always there.
You can't get it in one frame. It's so big.
Disused military shell.
see if I can fit it. Throw it back here.
It's like a tank missile. You're just filled with water.
That is literally what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's
like-
bigger than my head.
Yeah. For context, Dave has a big head, so just in case. That means nothing to people watching
So,
the video.
a bit of a mix on dysfunction. I thought we were going to be all in agreement on this. Well, we're kind of. Well, I don't know. We'll find out.
It's hard
Anyway.
to call Stained good.
I don't know
Let's
what
put
you're
it that
thinking.
way, but I'm getting as close to as I
This is a
possibly.
good album.
I think
it's a
it's-
great album.
If you put it up against all of Stain's other albums, it's good. If you put it up against all of music that's ever been recorded in history, it's a shit turd that should have been left in the garbage pile.
If I had to review it,
If I had to
if we
review
were
it,
doing
now, I'd give
grades
it
for
1
it,
out
I
of
would give
5.
this a 4.
I would as well, actually.
Really?
It's a 4-star album. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All right. You're
He's
entitled
literally
to.
really high.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, even if it's fucking wrong, Duncan.
like Kyle's usually really well spoken, but all of a sudden, like he's getting a bit of that kind of English kind of. It's all fucking wrong, right? It's fucking. he's like totally just. It's coming out of him. He's usually like, yes, I think you'll find that drum samples on this album are not very well. He's all fucking wrong. Shut it, you cunt. He's like literally like. He's like a stunt double from a.
I mean, I'm still
Ray
trying to get
Winston fucking movie.
over the anger of having to listen to this. I had to listen to this discography in parts because I couldn't fucking take it. I couldn't listen to it. I was just like, I was sat here just like, right, that's it. Stop. Can't do any more. I'll come back to it in an hour. I had to go take a break from an album,
Ooh.
which is something I do all the
2.5.
time. 2.5.
Kiernan
That's
says
generous.
2.5. That's
I love
low. Come
Duncan's
on.
impression
but
of me. It's
he
my-
literally just said, right, that Tormented was our best album. So we've already quantified, and he was the one that asked people to vote for it. So we've already agreed amongst the group that Paul's opinion counts for nothing right now. It's literally, it's not worth the paper.
They're always
pretty
trolling me.
so.
And anyway, if I had
I would
to
never do
if,
that.
if I had to review this album now, it would be great because I never would have heard Stain before and I might have a completely different opinion.
And I'm afraid to be alone. So, there you go.
What the chat? What you guys saying? What do you think of Dysfunction? Do you
Apart
like it?
from
Do
Paul,
you dislike
who
it?
doesn't
Apart
get
from
to say.
Kearney, who knows
Did that
nothing.
alert go off or not? Discordia Dystopia just subscribed for 3 months in a row, which is awesome. Thank you very much. Where's the camera I'm using today? Hello. But did the alert go off? I didn't hear it, didn't see it. But thanks. That's awesome.
For
Well-
3
well-
months, that's been a while. I can't even get it out now. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. I'm so happy right now.
What's up, Dystopia? It's good to see you. Thanks for subbing again. Welcome to We Shit on Stain for 3 hours. Duncan's Kyle impression. You've got a clip now? Oh, I can't wait to... I'm going to turn that into
Oh,
my...
I can't wait to tell you.
that is going
It's
to be
all
my...
fucking wrong, right?
That's going to be my new alarm. Wake up to Duncan doing me. No, wait. Oh,
Oh, it took a turn.
that did take a
Hey,
turn.
listen. You can join that queue, right? I'll be
haven't-
as
I haven't-
disappointing to you as Pixie's ex was to her, right?
Okay.
5 minutes and nothing special, and then
Okay.
you forget about it.
That's all I can expect. That's good.
To be fair, Kearney did listen to all the albums, so I appreciate you
Oh,
listening
you
to
did-
the
well,
albums.
I should hope so.
Discord is like, I haven't thought about Stained in like 20 years, so I don't know if I came prepared. He came very well prepared.
I mean,
Nobody else
you
has.
could argue they haven't put out anything good in 20 years. So.
Yeah. When did this come out in 99? That's 22 years.
Yeah. I might surprise you and break the cycle as well.
Oh,
There's a tipping point. There is a tipping point where I'll be like that. Yeah, I'm like when I go from the Smiley Duncan to. So I had to listen to this album. guys. This is where Paul
Okay.
can fuck himself. You know what I mean? Like there will be a tipping point. Trust me.
This is definitely the most any group of people ever have thought about Stained in 20 years.
yeah.
I think
Consistently.
if you think about them enough, you manifest them, and that's why they have a live
Oh,
album
so like
coming out. I think
Candyman.
we're all to blame. Like
Aaron's going to
Candyman or
appear in the
Beetlejuice.
chat soon, and I hope he does so I can rip him a new fucking face holder.
You'll not be able to see him. He'll be hanging over his mic.
Oh, he does not know what a mic is, does he? Jesus Christ. You've seen videos of him
That's-
singing live. He's like this. Look, I bought a prop. This is a microphone. When you hold a microphone, you hold it like this. When he holds a microphone, it's like a big black clock cock with a silver end, and he's like this.
Like,
And then he switches
like,
hands, and he goes, "My name's Aaron," and then he
That's a meme needs to be made right now. Someone meme that and exchange it for a big massive cock.
the black stallion. So the thing about it is like the whether you like them or loathe them, Bowling for Soup did the best impression of him.
Yeah,
How
they did.
did we get to Bowling for Soup?
Because they did
Because
that video where
Bowling
they
for Soup-
made
Yeah,
fun
the
of
girl all
everyone.
the bad guys want is basically it's a music video where they rip into every music video by new metal bands, and they have him with
that's
a fake skull cap on, and he's like this all hunched
Yeah.
over, and then as the camera pulls it, he's taking a shit, which is like he's like all like kind of crooning and like that, and
Yeah.
then the camera zooms in, and that's what he's doing. So
I thought that was Blink. Actually, I had that in my head. It was Blink 182 that did something.
no.
I don't
Blink-
think they
no,
did that in
Blink
that
one.
video.
Bowling for Soup. Oof.
Bowling for Soup. The girl of the bad guys want. We could have done something. We could have done Blink. No, you've got me confused. We could have done Bowling for Soup. Baz would have
I've only
loved
got one
that.
song.
The girl
Can
of the
anyone fill it?
1984.
Discordia, they have 7 albums we've had to listen to for the past God knows how long. How they can fill an hour? They managed to fill 81 songs. 83 or 4 if you count the silent parts and the secret fucking endings. And I don't know how they did it. I'm like,
The
how can
fucking
you?
endings.
How can you write the same song 50 times and then have like a few that don't suck so much? Like, I just don't get it. I know. I'm like. Anyway, let's move on because I'm getting
Listen
to.
here.
It's all
Listen
fucking
here.
wrong again.
Stevie has stolen my fucking Stein collection. I ain't having fucking none of it. Shut this cunt up. I love that. You honestly this is
Sounds
the greatest
torturous. You're not wrong. I told Duncan and Dave after this, I was like, I've been listening to this for 20 minutes and I'm trying to find the skinniest screwdriver so I can shove it in my ear hole. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Iron Maiden has written the same album 100 times and they're great.
Oh fuck that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, this is where you lose me and Dave. I don't get the hype. Really
I'm out.
don't get the hype.
It's all about the
Would you
show.
like
Hear me?
If you go
I
see
would
him
rather
live, you'll
listen
get
to
it.
Sting.
But other than that, I don't listen
Stained
to the new albums.
discography or Iron Maiden discography, and I had to listen to them all. Stained, a brand new drug for your vein.
A bit of Hampshire. I was born in Dorset, England.
Dorset, the
Dorset.
kingdom of Dorset.
The kingdom of Dorset,
Oh,
of which
heavy
I was
man.
not the king. But I did murder him in his sleep. And then that's why I
Dorset,
live
you
in
did.
Norway.
Does
Not
had
allowed
to
back.
flee.
Yep. They don't know. So
Where
don't
all
tell
the
anyone.
good church burners go.
I know, it was really warm today. I was like, is the church on fire?
Just a weird hue outside my window. Yeah. Yep. Spåfloggen church is burning down. There we go. I'm obsessed with Vikings at the moment, by the way.
Spåfloggen,
I'm almost
sounds
finished
like
season
Norway
3.
by-
In fact, I finished season 3 of Vikings.
Oh,
It's historically awful. Like it couldn't be any less accurate. I mean, they're literally rewriting history on this show, but it is entertaining as fuck. So I'll give them that.
It is. Oh, you lived in Hampshire for 20 years. I was on the border of Dorset and Hampshire, so that's probably why.
Norway gone wrong.
Norway by way of Scotland, right? Stolbloggen or whatever you said. It sounds like a big blog.
I don't know. I have no idea what I said.
okay, gentlemen.
I don't
moving
see a
on.
lot of
Cycle
ferns
this
in Norway.
conversation, Dave.
Almost like it was filmed in Ireland.
Yes. Yeah, 100% is not filmed. Is what? Yeah, it's made. It's an Irish Canadian co-production.
Yeah.
No, not shot in. I mean, that's the least of the historical inaccuracies that we can worry about here. And the rest of the show is fucking rife with it. So
Was it ever billed as historically accurate though?
it's on the History Channel.
Must
Which
be.
is like MTV for history right now. So let's.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
when you put something out on the History Channel, the casual observer would assume that your show is depictions of historically accurate
True.
facts,
Yeah.
which it isn't.
No.
No. Aliens. Anyway, that's a
Anyway.
history.
Electric
the
Kitty,
cycle,
hello.
Dave.
Thanks for breaking the tension there.
Hello.
Are those
Um,
envelopes?
So moving on to 2001, Stain's third album, Break the Cycle.
Break it.
This was again put out on Flip and Elektra. It was recorded in a mixture of studios by produced by Josh Abraham, who has worked with Slayer, Static X, Linkin Park, Dead Sea, Orgy,
Static
All
X,
the good
though,
shit.
yes.
All the
And,
good shit.
Limp Bizkit as well, actually.
Ooh,
Oh,
So,
there had to be an end.
album number 3, Break the Cycle, Stain's most successful album to date.
no wonder.
This is the album that basically broke Stained into the mainstream. It spent 3 weeks at number 1 in the American charts and numerous weeks in the top 10, and to date has sold over 8 million copies.
Look at Kyle's face. Look at Kyle's face. Yes, Dave. Say that number again. How many was that? Was that just 80?
Million copies.
800,000? What was that?
8 million.
It sold
Copies.
8 copies of the album. Kyle
Kyle's away for a
has
wee
left the
cry.
building. I'm on the outside of the door. I can't get back in. So
Farewell, Kyle. It's been a pleasure.
he did well, to be honest with you. I didn't think he'd get through 2 albums. I thought
Yeah.
he would leave after Tormented.
Yeah.
So
I genuinely think Kyle might not come back. So, break the
Oh, he's back.
there he's there.
He is
He's back.
back.
He's back.
just enough time for comedic effect.
Oh,
Like,
man.
just enough time for comedic effect.
Seriously.
Did you enjoy being on the outside, Kyle? Were
I
you
did.
looking in?
I'm coming back in. I was looking in. The door was open.
You were away for a while.
Oh my God, somebody, what's gone horribly wrong? I don't know. All right, I've pressed a button. It's fine.
Kyle,
Don't press buttons.
Kyle, what are you doing? Kyle,
Nothing.
Kyle's fine about the place.
were you sniffing bath salts when you went out there?
Yeah, I had
What's
to.
going on, Kyle?
No, I was looking for my gun, but it's been locked up.
Ah,
8
shame.
million albums. That is the most
8
depressing number
million.
in the history of humans.
Not if you're stained. That's the best number.
Like, can you imagine the amount of effort they put into this album? They were like, 8 million. Fuck, it's like this thing generates free money.
yeah. Absolutely does. So, Break the Cycle. What did we think of album number 3? Did we prefer this to Dysfunction, or did we dislike Break the Cycle? Let's go to Kyle first. Let's see what Kyle thinks of Break the Cycle.
I think I know the answer.
It's an album that is not as good as whatever it was called. Discordant? Dysfunction? What's it fucking called?
Discord. That's what it
Distormented.
is.
Dysfunction, there we go.
Discombobulated.
Discombobulated.
Dislocated.
It's a bit, I don't know. It's not even as good as Tormented.
Ooh.
It's like, oh yeah, it was the Open Your Eyes it opened with. And I was like,
I love this. This is the one I was talking about, which is basically Phil Collins, Another Day in Paradise.
Yeah, right, it
but
really
done
is.
by Stained.
It's just like, yeah, I can tell where you went off. But they drop all their influences on this album. Like, all the ones you could
To an
hear
extent,
coming
yeah.
through on the first 2, I felt like they just went, no more of that.
Yeah.
And just sort of went their own way, but they hadn't really figured out what the fuck their own way was. And just made more mediocre crap, to be honest. At least it was produced pretty well. I don't think it was as well produced as Dysfunction. I think Terry Date actually did a really good job on that, to be completely serious. But this one is like, I don't know. It's definitely a bit more clean and a bit more commercial and stuff, but I don't think it suits them at all. And like, yeah. But I just didn't know where they were going with it at all. It had like a mishmash of, there was very little new metal, bit more grunge, and like some twangy country shit in there too, and like 1 or 2 pop-esque things, especially in Open Your Eyes. And I was like, I just didn't know what to make of it. I couldn't really wrap my head around it at all. I was like, do you guys know what you want to be? I felt like they just, yeah, exactly. They just had no idea what they wanted to be at
do.
all. Yeah,
They want to sell 8 million copies of their album.
that is that.
Yep.
But when you,
This
that's
is a
fine. but
George
when you-
W. Bush mission accomplished sign behind me
Yeah.
here. Everything's going to be fine.
They did manage to sell that many albums, but they pull this off as like some artistic work of art, some work of sincere art with lyrics, and just the lyrics are not good on this album either. They're so on the nose.
Very
I don't know.
cliche.
Your daughters are porno stars, and your son sells death to kids.
It's like
Son sells death to kids.
it's like
Kids. So lost in your little world.
it's the producer's
little
job
world,
to turn
you'll
around
never
to the vocalist
fear.
and say, "That's not a very good lyric. We should change it up a bit." Where was the producer in this album? Where?
Oh, he goes full in. Like that whole song is just amazing. It's like just like it's the most. It's the like just him raging against.
2001.
The
This
non-machine.
album,
Yep.
and the whole year suffered because of it.
Okay, you're not going to like what I'm going to say about this.
You can have your
Go for
opinion.
it.
It's fine. Go
I-
for it.
I
I'm
actually
gonna go-
gravitated. Sniff some more bath salts.
Yeah.
I actually gravitated towards this much quicker than I did with Dysfunction.
We listened to this whole album driving to Hoyt to play a gig.
Did we?
Oh, aye, you were in charge of that stereo as well. You had playing, and I was like, I knew I would get Davey. This is why I still think I'll turn you on to 9 Inch Nails. Like as soon as I saw you, as soon as you put the Stain CD in, I was like, he will cave eventually.
That's right.
I just need to
people. The
wait for the
Stained
time.
CD in the car.
You had a Stain
Back in
CD
the day.
in your car. Back in the day,
Had a
Dave.
CD player in the car.
With a 6 CD changer in the trunk.
I think this album has the best hooks they've ever done. This for me.
Actually,
the
I would
first-
agree with that. Yeah.
The first set of tracks, like from Open Your Eyes and Pressure, Fade, and then into It's Been a While, undeniable huge bangers. Like with the 4 first tracks on the album, everything I think is balanced really well, from the kind of vocal delivery, the song structures, the chord choices, very anthemic sounding, quite catchy. I think it's one of their most. I think it's polished. It's more polished than the previous 2 albums, but I think it's still got a little bit of grit to it compared to like some of the stuff they're not
bit.
after Break the Cycle. Lyrically, yeah, it's very cliche, even more than the last album. But the cliche lyrics are now a staple in every single Stained album. I think I think there's a bit of a dip in the middle. I think like tracks like Change, some cool riff ideas. But it does sound weaker in comparison to the kind of first 4 tracks of the album. Same for Can't Believe. It doesn't have the big hook, but although it does deliver one of the kind of heaviest riffs from the album. And personally, I don't mind, like there's the ballad on it, or one of the ballads, Epiphany. I didn't mind it. Like I think you'll either love or hate that type of track, with his kind of crooning vocals. But
I see that.
hello.
You got a David.
Oh, David, Sunday name. I think, but he does it very well. He pulls off a very good vocal hook on this album, especially. And Epiphany, as much as it is really cheesy and radio friendly, the lyrical hooks are really good. And I think the structure of that track is very similar to It's Been a While, so you can see what they were going for. They were trying to sell albums. They were trying to make singles, that were going to get played a ton on radio. I think musically, they went for a more kind of simple approach with this one. A lot of the instrumentation on this one, the bass and drums in particular, take way more of a back seat on this album, which is different to Tormented and Dysfunction, where they have moments where they get a chance to kind of shine a little bit, where the bass kind of comes out and stuff. But I can see why they've done it. The tracks on this are far more formulaic than the first 2 albums. Not as formulaic as some of the stuff yet to come, but definitely made with the intentions of selling a shit ton of albums, which they did. But it's an album that still has a bit of balance to it. They've still have the heaviness, even though they go for the kind of radio friendly route from time to time on the album. And for me, I think this is one of their better releases. And even now, after listening to it, I listened to it like 2 or 3 times this week. I think it still holds up pretty well, in my opinion. So I quite like this album, if I'm honest. Duncan, what did you make of Break the Cycle?
Ain't no quite about this one. I like this album. I think it's. I'll double down with what you said. I think this is their, in terms of songwriting, this is their best album. because this does exactly what a band that sounds like this should be doing, which is all about the, it's all about the choruses. Everything here is choruses, and all the choruses, for the most part, super memorable. Catchy hooks, they like earworms, they just like kind of fucking nest in there, and I think that's the selling point to this one. It's not as raw as the previous album. Still has some heaviness in it, which I enjoy. I think lyrically, I think the cliche thing is just go back and examine the lyrics from this time period by bands that were selling a lot in the metal genre, and it's all cliche. It's all cliche. The ones that were doing all the abstract shit, like Deftones, were deliberately doing, like, Chino's a law unto himself. But like all the bands, that's what they did. How many new metal bands have a song called "I Hate You" or have the lyrics "I hate you" or "Get Up" or "Let's Go"? It's literally that's bullshit. Like, Soulfly has made a whole career of bullshit, motherfucker tribe. Every song, every album. So that's just. I think Aaron Lewis. I think for the most part, he's not the tortured soul that he makes himself out to be.
Definitely.
But that's the way he's decided to pivot his lyrics, and because I don't think he necessarily has a full understanding of what it is to feel as, and I'm speaking for him, that low, I think he just leans into cliche, and it kind of works.
Well, that's it. Just for me, it comes off as so insincere. Like he really doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just making shit up, and because it sounds like it should be on an album that sounds like this.
It's sold to 15-year-olds. It's sold to 15-year-olds who have
because
no
he's right.
fucking
It's
clue.
like I mentioned before. He wrote the lyrics at 14 and then released them, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to keep these."
Yeah, it's designed. That's the market he's aiming for, right? So it's for like Hot Topic kids. That's the market he's aiming that for. So when you put it out there, he's not like kids at 14 don't understand like how much the world is going to shit in your mouth. You know what I mean? They don't. So him singing about like all the nonsense that he sings about, kids gravitate to that. It is absolutely no surprise to me that this album is the one that, sold all the fucking copies and still is their most selling album. It is no surprise to me this is the one that really set them, like, after this it's arena tours. They're doing arena tours after this album.
Well, after 8 million albums, he would be,
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me, because that's what it's like. Any pretense of being something a bit edgier is hammered out that band before they come here, because the big selling song was Mud Shovel, and Mud Shovel is a very commercial sound. It's probably one of the more commercial sounding songs on that previous album. So when they come onto the next one, what do? We took to write an album with that. And that's what they do. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, you get a slight diminishing return in there, in that, like you were saying, like the bass work, I mean, it's forgettable. The drum work is uninspired, but the guitar hooks are pretty cool. Vocally, it's done. And I'll say with Dave as well, that I really like the production on this. I think the production on this is actually pitch perfect for what they're doing. So yeah, this of the Stained album is the one me and Dave have switched. Like, this is the Stained album that I listen to probably the most. So one
how
I
often
know
is
the
that?
best.
How often do you go back to this? So once a month, once a year, once a decade. Is this the first time you listened to it since it came out?
A couple of times a year. I go through like weird phases of I just want to listen to stuff that I listened to in college. Like, weirdly go through these phases of, like, weird nostalgia. Something you watch. I'll watch like a movie from like 2002 or 2000, and like the soundtrack will kick in or whatever, and I'm like that. Oh man, that fucking new metal band only had that one album. I need to go and listen to it. And then before I know it, I'm down a rabbit's hole of listening to like bands that only ever really had that one album that I loved.
We could talk about Cold Chamber all night. I'm kidding. They had 3 great albums.
They did. Some people would argue. See, Dave's already shaking his head. Well, this is what I mean. Like, it's I don't know. I think when I listen, I don't listen to Break the Cycle when I'm like running or anything like that. It's not that sort of album. It's a chill out album. It's like late at night or whatever, shove on some Stained, listen to that.
I had never listened to a Stained album until this week. Oh man, you just ruined your whole life.
So that's, but then again, Paul is a self-confessed person that abandoned like everything to do with that whole scene. And it's it's very easy. This is me getting my new metal defensive fucking force field up. It's very easy for people to sit there and talk about how derivative and cliche all that is, as if thrash music wasn't exactly the fucking same.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Go back and listen to the thrash music from the 80s, and there's a big four, right? And then there's a couple of bands underneath that, and the rest is bland. Yes, it's fast. Yeah, I'll listen to the guitar playing. It's amazing. Are the songs there? No. So like, and every decade has exactly the same thing. Something sells and becomes big, and then a lot of the record labels, sadly, sign a lot of bands that are doing stuff that's similar, moves it up. But I'll tell you, the best thing we got in new metal is half the bands we listened to last year have those new metal hooks that are coming back in, those really jumpy, no music out with hardcore makes people jump up and down as much as a new metal riff.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. So yeah, I mean, all metal, yeah. Everything is derivative. Everything is influenced by something. I would say this. I think actually, in a lot of respects, new metal is the one genre which afforded bands to be more experimental and mix different styles.
Yeah, they really did.
Some of it works really, really well. Some of it is just fucking awful. Just fucking awful. Like, just the worst shit you will ever listen to. Some of the worst albums ever came out in this time period. But it's exactly what this is to me, the epitome of the I'm going to write something that's going to sell a lot and play arenas. It is pitched perfect at that. So yeah, I mean, I do not disagree with your sentiments, Dave. I'm glad to see that I was right all along, and you eventually came around to Dysfunction. Which, once again, I'm just going to mark that in my already heavy book of Duncan wins one with Dave. Oh, I'm out of pages, Dave. So many ticks in here.
Yeah. I'll get you a new book for Christmas.
Leather bound.
This could be a really weird conversation. So Dave bought you a blank book. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Nothing on the pages. Nothing on the pages. So
first tick is going to be an important one.
So
leather
let's
bound,
do it. You know you
parchment
want to do it.
pages, only use as a fountain pen. No,
Okay.
one of those quill pens.
Right.
So that was Break the Cycle. We're moving on to album number 4, 2003's 14 Shades of Grey.
Maybe.
Again, put out on Flip Electra, recorded at Westlake Recording Studios, and again by Josh Abraham, who did the previous album. Another album that debuted at number 1 on the Billboard charts.
Of course, because the previous one did.
Yeah.
So
It sold relatively well. Not as well as Break the Cycle, but it did go gold and platinum. So yeah, it sold a shit ton.
After selling 8 million albums, then anything you release is probably going to go at least gold. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
because you've got that fan
And
base.
if it doesn't,
and
you
they'll
get dropped.
Yeah, they've got that fan base, and as much as everything else sucks after this album, it's like people are still going to buy it just in case.
I'm going to be controversial on this one again.
This is the Married with Kids album. Aaron Lewis said it was the natural progression now that he and Mike now had wives and kids in between the last album and this one. And for this one, I think it has a very promising start to the album.
It's a great start. The first 4 songs are #bangers.
Yeah, I totally agree. But what I'm going to say is I had way better memories of this album. Like, in my head, I thought 14 Shades of Grey was pretty good. I was going into this thinking this was a pretty decent album, so this should be a fairly kind of easy listen. And the first quarter of the album is what I remember about it. You know, it's decent. Price to Play. How About You? So Far Away. Yesterday. All well-delivered Stained tracks that come with a obligatory catchy chorus. And you can
Some of
tell
the most catchy choruses here, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And as an album, it is slightly moving towards a kind of lighter sound, which we heard bits of on Break the Cycle with things like It's Been a While and Outside and Epiphany. But this album kind of starts to fully embrace the kind of more melodic side. There's more acoustic guitars, there's less aggressive vocals, quieter drum parts, more little kind of rim shots and stuff. The kind of gritty metal riffs are fairly minimal on this. There's still some like heavy-ish guitars on there. Tracks like Price to Play and Fill Me Up still have a wee bit of riffage on them, but it's not a riff-driven album at all. The guitars are there just to kind of thicken a chorus or add a bit of edge to the sound. From track 5 onwards, though, I felt like I was listening to a completely different album than I remember. This album is very, very repetitive.
Yeah.
The tracks all have a very similar tone and feel, and at times it started to sound like one big long song. Like especially in the middle of the album, it's that same like quiet to into loud kind of chorus kind of formula they use on pretty much every track. And as much as there are like singles on this album, there's a lot of filler on this. A lot of filler on this album. A lot more than I remember as well. And Aaron Lewis sounds like he's absolutely phoning it in on this album. He doesn't stretch his voice at all on this. Like he's just going through the motions. Even there's a track on there where he's dedicated to his daughter, and it just sounds like he can't be fucking bothered.
Sweet Zoe Jane.
Like, yeah, it sounds like he's probably just recorded it like on his phone, on his couch. You know what I mean? It just cannot be fucked with this album. By the 3/4 mark on this album, I was absolutely done.
Stained the 2000s Bon Jovi.
I had.
Are you telling me that this album's full of bad medicine?
Oh.
Thank you. I love that song. That's a running song.
By the 3/4 point mark, I'd heard all the Stained that I wanted to hear on this album. I got to the point where like I thought I'd listened to the same song 3 times. There's only so many ways you can repackage the same song on an album, and like by track 8, track 9, I was ready to tap out. They also end the album with a track called Intro, which is just top bants. You know what I mean? Like, who'd have thought of that intro at the end of the album? Yeah.
It's
it
cunty,
has.
Dave. It's a cunty thing to do.
It really is.
So.
It really is. I mean, my rage was fairly high by that point in the album anyway, so it didn't help. But I think it has 4. You could maybe say 5, mainly 4 good songs. The rest is generic, repetitive, boring as fuck. Not what I thought I was going to say about that album, because I did have better memories of it. But when I listened to it, I thought, no, this is hot trash. So that's my take on 14 Shades of Grey. Duncan, what did you think?
I mean, I'm with you for the most part. I think the first 4 or 5 songs are good Stain songs, and then I think it just drops off into a whole lot of different shades of grey. See what they did there. Yeah, it's just that it's very uninspired after that. I will disagree with you though on the vocal part. Like in those first 5 songs, he hits notes he doesn't hit in any other album. He actually stretches really high in his range. Price to Pay is a really good example of that. He hits a couple of notes really at the top. He does now that you're here so far away, like that. Like he doesn't hit notes like that in any other Stained album at all. So he does there. But you're right, after 5 it's like, here is my mid-range, here is what I'm doing, and I'm not even gonna sound passionate about this one. If you're writing a song about your kid, I need to hear some emotion behind it. You're right, it kind of sounds like, it actually does sound like he's got his kid on one shoulder, he's fucking trying to put the dishwasher, let the dog out, cat's attacking the back of his bald head. Sweet Zoe Jane, fucking like this, like that. It's very bland, which is so bizarre, because it isn't at the same time. This is what I call 5-finger death punch syndrome, which is what you do is when you release an album, all the interesting, I'm going to use that very loosely with Five Finger Death Punch. All the heavy good stuff is the first 3 songs, and then everything after that is generic as fuck. And guess where all the singles come from? The first 3 songs on the album.
Yep.
And that is literally, that is what Stain do here. Like, all the singles came from earlier in the album. And that's the stuff where it's interesting, it's bouncy, vocal hooks are great. Once again, the bass player, I'm sure he is there. He might be directing porn. You know what I mean? Because we've established that already. Yeah. Big Johnny April. But once again, the drummer is. I mean, the drummer, it could be just a session drummer at this stage. You know what I mean? Because there's no personality.
They could have used sample drums.
But
that would be the perfect use for sample drums, because
really
nobody gives a fuck anyway.
Yeah.
They did. No one gives a fuck. I love it. It's just my favourite thing that's happened today. Like more of this. But like, see when we're doing the album reviews now, and something really annoys you. I don't want to hear this, and it's so uninspired, and I just want like, what the fuck is this shit? So that's what I want from you.
You might have got a deal there.
I don't think we'll get complaints from people talking about drums if they think you're a fucking English Hardy, you know, like an absolute, like a mobster, like someone that might pill cue you.
What fucking cunt put these fucking drum samples in this fucking album?
I'll fucking glass you, I will. Like, no one's gonna be like, actually, I played drums on that album. They're not gonna come in with that because they're gonna be like, this guy's, he's loco. So yeah. Anyway, the I don't know if you'd like that. I can't play a guitar. It would be pretending to play a guitar. But like but what you've got is an album of a couple of really interesting songs at the beginning, and then it's not even diminishing returns. This is what I'm talking about copying a formula. So the previous album sold loads. What were the songs that did really well on that? Well, the songs that did really well on that were Outside, and it's been a while. So what you get is bad versions of Outside, and it's been a while from about track 5 onwards. Right, and that's the problem. It's like it's almost like Staind are like this really weird band where I kind of feel at times they don't quite know musically. It's not what they're doing, but they don't quite know musically what it is to be like a band who are writing albums to tour. Like, and the other times I think they have it down pat because they are Metallica before. Don't shout at me. Before, like, Metallica did like 10 albums, and then we're like, right, after this point we can have 3 songs that we'll only ever play live from this new album, and none of the rest matter, right? Stain kind of do this on album 3. We're like that. We only need 3 songs on this, and we can do an hour tour with these songs, and fuck the rest that no one will ever remember, and they fit in perfectly. So, like, it's so weird because this has happened really early in their career. Like, you would expect this from bands that have been around a lot later with all that. We just need to get something out as an excuse to tour. And it's interesting because, once again, my theory is Staind have an inordinate amount of live albums for a band that have not as many albums as they actually do. And it makes you wonder if really all they're actually interested in is touring, which I think they probably are. I think they're more interested in the touring experience than they are with the writing album experience. And that certainly feels
back then they were, yeah, definitely.
So that's my thoughts on it. I'm very much with Dave on this one. Oh, I like you as well. This is not one I return to often, and I remembered this being a lot more memorable. And turns out I was fucking wrong. So,
yep.
Kyle,
it's fucking shit, isn't it? It's just terrible. I mean, I don't even, just the first 4 songs, like, yeah, they're right. If we had an album this, I could probably get along with it. And the weird thing is Break the Cycle is the one album name I remember from what the fuck this band's called, Staind.
Staind. Yeah, Staind.
And it's like, so I was like a little bit like looking forward to see how this was after the other albums, but it was just like the first, yeah, you're right. The first 4 songs were like, okay, that's Staind for sure. And the rest of it was just like, how did you make a career on being this horrific? It was just, oh my god. This is the first time, actually, I actually had to stop the album and just take a break. I couldn't get through it. Track 5 to 9 or something, I was just like, I can't This has been one 20-minute long, boring as fuck song. I just cannot take it anymore. I hit stop. I went for a coffee. I came back. I had a massive, massive sigh. I put my headphones back on. I got through the last 5 songs, and it was more of the goddamn same drivel.
It's an hour long.
I know.
As well,
It's like how do you fill an
that getting
hour
through?
with this shit? Why
How is
did you
that
go
getting
from
through,
writing these songs that anybody can get along with to just...
They are on average 4 minute per song band.
Yeah.
Occasionally they lean into the 5 minutes. It's mostly 4 minutes, and it's mostly kind of intro, verse, chorus, interlude, verse, chorus, done.
I
That's the
saw
formula.
that. Yeah, I just listened to that. I was like, this is the same.
60 minutes.
Right. And it's just like, do something different. Can you? No. You gave up. You might have kids, but you're a fucking recording artist. Record something that doesn't suck. And then...
60 minutes and 20 minutes is interesting.
The biggest insult is that dedication to his daughter. If I had a parent that dedicated a song to me that was like that, I'd emancipate myself immediately. I'd be like, I know I'm 30-something years old. I know we don't live together or even in the same country, but I'm never fucking talking to you again. Fuck you. This album was like...
It's a needlessly long album, Kyle. Like
know,
this is the thing about it. Like, it's like Dave's like that. It feels like one long song. It's one long song for 40 minutes.
Yeah. It's called 14 Shades of Grey, and it couldn't be a more apt fucking name. I didn't know there were 14 Shades of Grey, but here I stayed going, yeah, we found them. They're all a bit beige. And I was like...
You say that, but did you not know that actually the colour spectrum denotes 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, making it up for the
On fire.
old... what do you mean I don't? See, that's awesome, that.
Who was that?
You can fuck yourself and die, Dave. Go fuck yourself and die.
That's what I said at the end of this album.
Oh, nice. So there we go.
Okay. So, not much of a fan of 14 Shades of Grey, but don't fret, guys. We've still got another 3 albums to talk about. Don't worry.
I had to
Moving
listen to
on.
those albums after this one came, and I swear to God,
Yeah.
I hope we're not doing
must,
anything next week. I don't think I can take music right now.
Hey, the new zombie
Oh
EP's
yes,
in.
we are, Kyle. We
The
did
new
stop.
zombie EP's in, and look, that track they
Ah.
released is the fucking tits.
Actually, that one was really good.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be doing the good shit.
None of this stained pish. So, album 5,
Album 5.
cleverly titled Chapter 5.
Which is stupid as fuck. Let's get this out of the
But
fuck
we're
right
going
away.
now, though.
Because Tormented was not around. Nobody knew about it. So it was their 4th album called Chapter
but they
5.
also released a live album, so if they
Which is
included that in
bullshit as
there-
well, because nobody counts live albums. Why do this? At least Slipknot's number 5 was their 5th album, and everybody knew that. Even when it came out, I was like, they have 5
also not
albums?
very
No.
good.
And I didn't know about Tormented back then either, so I just thought they're a bunch of morons. Nothing has changed, by the way. I still think they're a bunch of fucking morons. Just let's get that out on the air in case it wasn't clear. Stained are idiots. Fuck them.
Okay. Released in August 2005.
God bless Dave. Dave's like, I have to do this as the
Steer
Twitch
this
stream
ship.
demands it.
Again, released on Flip and Atlantic. Recorded at a bunch of studios by Dave Bottrill and Stained.
Oh, Dave Bottrill fucking did this.
Yes.
It is
Fuck
a,
off.
it is a stain on his record.
He did a couple of Tool albums.
Tool.
He did Mud Veins, The End of All Things to Come.
Second album, yeah.
He did Silver Chairs, Young Modern, and Diorama. He's done Between the Buried and Me stuff, Coheed and Cambria, Stone Sour.
Do you know what I think? Dave Bottrill wanted himself a swimming pool out the back.
He did.
That's
Wee piece of
literally
that
this
pie,
is fuck you money. That is
Yeah.
literally this recording is fuck you money.
Yeah.
It probably went, this will be a
Oh,
really easy album to do because it's going to suck and I don't have to put much effort into it. He probably just bought up a mix template he had from some other band, pasted everything in and just, there we go, nice, done. I've just mixed an album in 40 minutes.
Yeah. So, yeah, album number 5, another platinum album, just in case you hadn't guessed. Feels like they're just fucking handing these out like sweeties at the moment. This album debuted at number 1 in the Billboard chart. Aaron Lewis claims this is the band's best album to date.
I think we lost Kyle. I think we lost Kyle. You're too far away to give the Heimlich.
No.
Critically, it did okay. Not terrible, not fantastic either.
Jesus.
But the WWE used the track right here in one of their promos after The Edge won his first WWE championship.
I love the fact Dave is talking about wrestling right now, and he's talking about wrestling the same way my mum talked about Slipknot when I first listened to them.
That's correct. The WWF, as I knew it back in the day.
Here we go, Dave.
But yeah, basically they're just throwing money at these cunts now. Just like, yeah, here you go, guys. Yeah, here's another couple of mil. We'll just use this in one of our promotions. First thing I noticed about this album though was the fucking weak as piss production that's on this. Fucking Dave Bottrell. Fuck me. I don't remember this. I don't remember this sounding so fucking thin.
It's very thin.
Oh fucking hell! He had, I think, when I looked at when this was released, he had just worked with Godsmack, and I think Flaw was the other one that he worked on before.
He's literally having the worst year ever if he's working
Really?
with Godsmack and Flaw.
Yeah, the guy was in a pretty dark place, obviously. Fucking
It's like, I will redeem myself with, what's this? Stained? Oh no. Bad luck comes in threes, guys. Comes in threes.
Yeah, bad times for Dave Bottrell.
I think I gave myself a goddamn chest infection with that.
Yeah, I think you might have water on the lung.
Something doesn't feel right. Thanks, Aaron Lewis, you cunt.
But yeah, shit production to one side.
Aside, yeah.
Musically, this is a little more balanced in a couple of different ways. One, the decent tracks that are on this album, they've scattered them throughout the album this time, so
Yeah.
it doesn't all, it's not all front loaded like fucking
Yep.
14 Shades of Grey. The album also hears them trying to claw back a wee bit of credibility on this album from the metal fans by incorporating a couple of, or more than a couple of, kind of slightly heavier tracks on the album. Tracks like Paper Jesus or King of All Excuses. They do kind of feel a little bit kind of dysfunction-ish, or a wee bit kind of break the cycle, especially in some of the guitar work, and so on the verses in particular. The choruses still have the kind of hooks that are reminiscent of that kind of break the cycle, 14 Shades of Grey type era. It felt like me like a band trying to rebound from the calamity that was 14 Shades of Grey. And I think they pull it off in part. I do think this is a better album than 14 Shades of Grey. I liked the heavier stuff they tried on this release. The ballad tracks were basically just like them covering old ground, though there was nothing new there. Schizophrenic Conversations, though, is 100% Silverchair ripoff.
Yep.
The guitar chords, the melodies are very reminiscent of Silverchair. I was listening to preaching. If you fucking put Daniel Johns on that track, you'd think this is Silverchair. That's how much I was listening. I was like, the chords, it's like really fucking like late 90s Silverchair. What the fuck is going on here? As I listened to the album, I thought, they are kind of leaning a bit heavier on the grunge type kind of chord progressions on this. You can hear it on a couple of tracks. Devil's another one that's got kind of grungier sound, and I didn't mind that. I mean, apart from the obvious kind of Silverchair ripoff, I felt like they were at least trying to mix it up a little bit. Cross to Bear was probably the other standout for me, next to Right Here. It doesn't kind of follow the usual kind of Stained formula. It's got a vocal hook, but it's not the kind of main focus of the track. It feels like they've taken a little bit more time on constructing the riffs and the kind of overall tone of the track, which, to be honest, after like listening to fucking 4 albums before that, it felt like a bit of a breath of fresh air in comparison to the kind of mediocre shit.
Bye, Laura.
Bye, Laura.
Bye, Laura.
But and this album still has some of that mediocre shit. Don't get me wrong, but I felt at least like they were at least trying on this album. Like There's some other albums where they're just they're not even bothered. This is still not a great album, to be honest. You know what I mean? But it had moments that didn't make me want to set fire to myself. Production is weak as fuck, though. I do have that to say. Kyle, what did you make of Chapter 5? Kyle's just giving up the will to live right now.
I actually wanted to on this album. This album, right, was the point where Aaron had actually, he sounded like an asshole. That's his vocal style now, right? He sounded like an asshole. The band sounded like balls, basically. And if you meet in the middle, what have you got?
The taint.
Staint.
Staint. Staint, a brand new drug for your taint.
I updated their logo.
Right. I like it.
There's nothing good on this album. It's just, it's. I mean, you might say they're trying to claw back some credibility. I can kind of see that, I guess, but that's only because they really lost it the last time. They're like, maybe we should try this time, guys, and they did. Yeah. And even their producer knew it was a pile of garbage, and that's why he didn't even try. He was sat there going, "Yeah, I need a new swimming pool. I need some money," and it was just like, that's all he was in it for. That font is handwritten by Aaron Lewis, probably. It's awful. But anyway.
Yeah, according to the internet, they asked Dave Bottrell when was the last time he'd actually recorded a really good album, and he said, it's been a while. Oh, man, just like out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, fucking...
It had been a while since Stained actually had anything to say and had any like original ideas. It sounds like their home lives had gotten on top of them, and they had no energy. They had not a care in the world. They had enough money from royalties, album sales, and touring that they just didn't give a flying fuck anymore. And that's what they sound like on this album. And they kind of went like, maybe we should try, but they couldn't muster up the energy to actually do it. Even the producer knew it, and he was just like, mix templates, don't give a shit. This album sounds like shit. The songs are shit. The songwriting is shit. The fucking lyrics are shit. The singer is now trying to go off on a country thing on a solo album, so I don't give a shit. Here comes the songer, yeah. And it's just like, you could throw millions and millions and millions of dollars at production on this album, and it would still sound like shit. That's the problem. It doesn't matter. It's like, that's the whole problem. It's like they wanted to try, they couldn't do it, and the whole album suffered because of it. This was another album I had to pause because it was just so everything's just, we're going to bring that word back, generic. It's just nothing's inspiring. There's no inspiring parts of this album at all. There were parts of other albums, the previous ones, parts here and there, a couple of songs, first 3-4 songs on one album, but this one was just fucking nothing to it. It's just vapid. It's like a Valley Girl saying, how is it going for 45 minutes straight? And I just don't give a fuck. Right? It's just that. I might as well listen to that. It's just, instead of actual anything worth a damn, we just got noise that nobody gives a shit about. Except for this album went platinum, so of course enough people hated their lives enough they were literally just wanted to commit suicide. And so they did, listening to this, because that's the only thing you want to do after hearing this album. If I reviewed this today, I'd give it a stonking 0 out of 5.
Ooh.
It would not even. It was not worth the effort. It's not worth the plastic the CDs were printed on. It's just.
I'd not say it was. I'd say it was.
And this isn't their worst album either.
It's kind of in the middle for me. It's a kind of like a 2.5 to 3 type album for me. It's got moments where I think it's not bad, but it's generally pretty average right across the board.
It's just the point is, why did they bother? You just sound like a bunch of assholes just in a studio wasting everyone's time. That's the point. It's just like
Duncan is being suspiciously quiet about this one. Is this going to be his favourite Stained album?
No. So no. This probably occupies a similar place to 14 Shades of Grey, to be honest. But I think you're right. The production, not good. Not good at all. the thing that maybe knocks us down for me below 14 Shades of Grey, though, Dave, is that on 14 Shades of Grey, 4 or 5 songs at the beginning, back to back, banger, 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 and then there's shite I can switch off. This one here, you have to find the bangers, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like, you're right, in part, at least they're spacing them out to give the whole album length a bit more interest, but you then have to go from a really good song through a couple of bad songs to find the next good song, to go through a couple of bad... And that's, like, for a first listen...
A treasure hunt where the treasure is a turd.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, like, literally it's an arduous process, and that's a penalty for me. I'd much rather they went down the cynical road that I said earlier on and front load it, because that way you can at least know what you're getting with it, and then you can feel disappointed as the album comes along. The problem with it overall is, I think, once again I come back to this, I don't think Stain know exactly what sort of band they actually are. And that's the problem. Like, you're talking about the inclusion of heavier elements, and they are definitely there. They're trying to be a bit heavier, but to what purpose? Their fans that have been buying the albums are conditioned to not that sound. So is it to appeal to people that don't listen to them or play rock radio? I don't get that. And then they're also trying to throw back in those kind of earlier 96 Silverchair kind of grungy influences, but once again, to what purpose? They haven't done that for a long time, so it's a very confusing album, because, and you will see what the after effect is on the next album, where they strip all that out entirely. Like, so this feels like the last kind of grasp of, we're gonna try a bit of this, try a bit of that, try a bit of this, and whatever sells, will be what goes next. That'll be the style we play in the next album. And they didn't even take that advice, because the songs that sold off this one were heavier ones, which does not explain where we go next. So I think, I don't think, I probably, grading wise, I'd probably come in about a 2, where I would give something like 14 Shades of Grey maybe a 2.5. The songs that I like on this one, I do like. I think they're good songs. There's a few of them, and you have to wade through a lot to get to them. So
yeah, I think that's what kept me going, because they were scattered throughout the album. Like, you would go through that kind of up and down. But, oh, this isn't bad, and then you go through a couple of tracks like, oh fuck, and then oh, this isn't bad. Whereas with like 14 Shades, it was like, this is good, this is good, this is good, and then it was like, oh no, this is bad, this is bad. And it just continued like, on. You were just like, oh, make it stop.
Maybe they will pick up. Oh no, maybe they will. No, next song, no.
I think I preferred this one just because it did pick me up on a couple of occasions as the album progressed through, but overall it's probably on par with the last album, like, if you even it out, kind of thing for me. So
it would have been on par for me, but if the producer had given a fuck, but he didn't.
Well, that's the other thing. The other thing, you're right, it is so thick. Like, this is like, it's like the trend on albums, and once again, we're going to get into the next album, where the rest of the band might not have even bothered showing up, to be honest. And to be honest, on chapter 5, it kind of feels like they're in the room, but they're being suppressed. So, like, when they get to, like, we need to get onto the next album.
I don't think they would benefit from the EP4 trend, because, like, Stained being Stained, they would have had a good song and 5 shit ones, and it would have been like. I think if they could release 2 singles and then tour. Yeah.
I think that's the best formula for Stained. I think the can have. I think collectively as a band, they have it in them to write a couple of interesting songs every couple of years, and then the rest is just it's filler. It's like I said before, it's to justify the release of an album to go on tour.
Yeah, it's exactly that, and it's cynical and crap. And it's just, why bother? You got nothing to say. Don't fucking say anything. Just shut up and rest on your laurels.
He has plenty
or become
to say,
a producer.
Kyle. He's got plenty to say.
Yeah, he has.
Really? About what?
The thing is, though, they still sell. The thing is, these albums still sell. They're still making money.
Fucking mind. It
America,
really does.
though, we've spoken about this. America's like, there are bands in like that Five Finger. I don't want to keep punching on Five Finger Death Punch, but they are one of the most banal sounding metal bands ever, and they are fucking huge. Godsmack's another one. Godsmack is a band that has a handful of good songs, but has like fucking 10 albums. And they sell loads over there, and they just don't sell over here because I think, and I don't want to raise British fans up and European fans up a bit loftier, I think we're just a bit more cynical about it. Yeah, I think we can see through shit a bit easier. Think about like the majority of the European or British bands that you've heard in the last like 10-15 years. Yes, there are a couple that are genetic, but there's a ton of bands that they're really fucking trying hard to stand out, be different.
Slicer.
Yeah, well, it's a prime example.
Yeah.
She's writing new material. I'm like that. Your album is just out. It's just let it sink in before. She's like, oh, I'm just fucking around here at home, and it's like the most fucking like mind melting. Felt like that did from Indiana Jones, where his face just fucking melts.
Right, it just came off.
But that's the problem is like America is such a huge market.
Yeah.
And this is the same market that like there's country music, not to diss on country music, not my genre, but like mainstream poppy country music sells hundreds of millions over there. There are artists that only really are ever heard in America that are fucking filthy rich with triple platinum albums and all the rest. And it's just that thing. If you can do what Stained, Disturbed's a great example of this as well, by the way.
Yeah.
If you can find your niche there and find your audience, then you literally don't need to worry about fucking anything ever again. And who cares if the other markets accept you? Yeah, you're going to tour them. There's going to be smaller clubs or whatever. People will come out and check you out. But you don't have to worry about your home. Like whenever you release something over there, it's going to go platinum. It's going to make money. Yeah. And that's where you are. It works the other way. There are certain bands that are only big in the UK that will never transcend over to the States. It's just a smaller market here, so
you can actually see that attitude in their live shows. I know you keep going back to it, but it's such a poor live show as well. They just play the hits, and then he stood on stage like this. He's not even putting a show on. He's just singing like this into his fucking mic, arms crossed, and it's like, and the guitarist just stood there bored. The bassist might as well not even be there, and the drummer is there somewhere too. And it's just like, what the fuck do you bother for? But
it's the very definition of keeping the band together for the hits.
Yeah, it really is.
Kids. That's literally the only reason they're all still together is it's a money making machine, which I think is cynically is how they are approaching their music. They're not writing music because they want to inspire or whatever like that. They're writing music because it makes them money. So.
Yeah, that's it. They're not inspiring anybody. They're not inspired either. It really just at this stage in their album releases, they're not inspired by anything. They don't have anything to give. They're just doing it because they can, and they need another swimming pool.
Well, that brings us to the next album.
Album number 6.
Oh dear.
The Illusion of Progress.
Illusion's a good word.
Illusion of interest is what I call this, Dave. I can almost masturbate to anything, but I couldn't masturbate to this album. That says everything.
Released August 2008 on Atlantic Records this time. Recorded at the home studio of frontman Aaron Lewis in Massachusetts.
It shows.
Couldn't even get it into a studio.
And recorded by Johnny K, produced by Johnny K and Stained. Johnny K did The Sickness by Disturbed, Scars by Soil, Supercharger by Machine Head, and
their best
13 by Megadeth.
I am your nightmare. What's that?
True Scare. 13 by Megadeth, their worst album. Oh no, wait, no, that's Super Collider, their second worst album.
What do you mean that's pretty good.
See, I knew we'd segue this back in at some point.
There's two Daves in here, man.
Davey boy.
There's two Daves. That's it. Sorry. We've got Dave and Dave and me.
The Illusion of Progress. Where to fucking start with this?
This sounds like it's a solo album.
It does. Yeah, you're right. It's just
this sounds like that. This is the Aaron Lewis project,
and especially because it's got the 3 acoustic fucking Aaron Lewis on his own being a twat at the end. Is absolutely that. It's just this is the beginning of the end.
No balls on this album. Absolutely no jiggling balls.
Nope.
There's no balls at all. This is the most pussified release that they have in their entire catalogue.
It's just
There is no oomph, no energy, no nothing.
nope.
Yep.
They've run out. That's it. They don't even care. It's just. Yeah, I had to stop this album like 4 times. I'm not kidding. I couldn't get through it. I'm not even sure if I did. I saw they had the live albums. I think I skipped through the songs. I just didn't give a shit enough. I knew we were doing this.
Kyle had to stand up and walk away more times than Lars Ulrich.
I know. Jesus. I was just like, I think I got more of a workout stopping listening to this album, going for a walk than I did the whole rest of my life, you know?
Technically, this was my first listen to this.
Oh, really?
I hadn't heard this album at all. I think Chapter 5 was where I kind of stopped with Stained. So I had no idea what was about to happen on The Illusion of Progress. Aaron Lewis claimed this album had hues of Pink Floyd and straight up blues, quote.
Where?
Really?
It's got hues of
Really?
brown.
Once again, I think this underlines the fact that Aaron Lewis doesn't know what music is.
No. Barely knows what
this-
singing is.
This sounds like the shitey, whiny, radio-friendly pish you've done in the past.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Yes.
If by Pink Floyd and bluesy you mean lacking in any real substance, then yes it does. Yes it does. This fucking album, right? Wait, let's just get into this fucking album.
Pixie's got Oreos. I'm intermittent fasting at the moment, Pixie, and I'll tell you, my stomach. I don't know if the microphone picked up the noise my stomach made when I read the word Oreo. Kind of sounded like Aaron Lewis on the Dysfunction album singing the word raw.
I haven't dipped that.
Just bashing its toe.
I don't know. I
Did
don't
they
know.
stop it
Nice.
then?
This was sent to me from Scotland, around Glasgow
Yeah.
area. I don't know what the fuck it is. I can't wait to taste it.
Oh, it's
You're going to be up
sherbet.
for days.
It's sherbet, and it's basically sugar congealed into the shape of a lolly. That's like, and you have to dip it in the sherbet.
Yeah.
From
I'm
that
going to
and
see if I can
diabetes.
insert this into my eyeballs.
Snort a wee bit as well.
Yeah, is it like that right there is diabetes in a packet.
Awesome. I am going to be awake for days. Which after listening to this album is impossible. So
Kearney says it sold less than 92,000 copies apparently.
from 8 million to under 92.
Nice,
Wow.
nice. Okay,
Does that surprise anyone?
positive
Where are the
points.
hits on this one? Where are the singles on this album?
I think
for a start?
I think the first track, as openers go, it's not a bad opening track. It's predictable, and it follows the Stained formula of heavy intro, soft verses, big chorus, and there's an element of catchiness to it. But for me, that's where the album peaks on that first track. The main issue, or one of the issues with this album is,
Aaron Lewis.
and this is maybe just coming
It's the main issue on this album.
from a drummer's point of view anyway, the tempo of this album is exactly the same the
Yeah.
whole way
Oh,
through.
it doesn't pick
Every
up, it
track.
doesn't drop, it doesn't do anything
there
except
is-
just go plod, plod,
It
plod.
is
Almost as if he had Pro Tools at home doing the recording and he couldn't work out how to set the metronome, so every single song was just set at
Ah, fuck
96 beats per.
We'll just leave
It'll
it, yeah.
literally, like,
It's
we'll
just-
just write to this.
And I think because of that, the whole thing just sounds repetitive. There's
Yeah.
no urgency to this at all. It's the same mid-paced swaying rhythm that it has to it the whole way through. And again, Aaron Lewis just sounds like he's phoning this fucker in. Like
Ugh.
they've tried to sound like they're making it interesting. Like yeah, it's got real bluesy and real hints of Pink Floyd, but actually it's just another album of mind-numbing diarrhea. It is an album of crap. It is lacking
There's
in
one song
every
short of an hour
single-
long as well. 56 minutes
yeah.
long. 56 minutes
Yeah.
long. One tempo.
Fuck that.
And
Oh.
3 live solo acoustic covers of his own songs.
Yeah, fucking. It's just so uninteresting. The hooks are weak. It's predictable and just utterly bland. Like at least some of the shit they released previously had something to grab onto.
Yeah.
To me, this is a band that I've just totally given up trying
Yeah.
to make an interesting album.
Were they
The
even
passion
there? I
has
think
gone.
it was just Aaron. Maybe he just recorded them when they weren't when they didn't notice around a
Oh,
bonfire
possible.
one night.
Yeah,
Just fuck.
It's so fucking
This is
generic. Fucking
the-
shite.
couldn't.
the very definition of don't it all seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pay paradise and you put up a parking lot. Ooh, it is that's what anything that was interesting, anything that was paradise in the Stain back catalogue has been floored and paved over. And look at it now. It's just an
God.
empty fucking space.
And it's
As-
not even it's not even radio worthy. Like I wouldn't play any of this shit on the radio.
No.
There's
No.
nothing. There's no
Well,
decent singles on this.
there's a reason why things change on the next album. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just, it's even more watered down. So much though that this album just kind of blurred together for me, to be honest. I
Yeah.
got to the end of it and I couldn't remember a single thing about it. Like, it is for me their least memorable album. And as you said, if it wasn't bad enough, there is 16 fucking tracks on this thing. Like, fucking, granted 3 are acoustic live tracks, but still, come on, the fuck,
For
Stain.
no reason. Why
16
acoustic
tracks.
live tracks when at this point you already have 2 live albums?
Right.
Yeah.
Or at least 1 live album.
So I've
Yep.
bored you to
I
death
can
with
put more
13
live songs on it.
Here's 3 songs of me singing it alone, and I'm boring. And you wanted to hear this for sure, and I just want to go. I'm going to find out where Aaron Lewis lives. I'm going to go to his
what are you
house.
doing, Kyle?
I'm going to punch him in his fucking face.
Kyle, what are you doing right now? Every Friday you go alone and play guitar. Don't fucking ridicule that. There's some art in that. He's just not very good at it.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn, but at least I don't bore people to death with acoustic songs.
Hey, if you've got a horn to it,
I do, but in
some folk
private.
don't.
It's a different website. We've been through this.
Yeah, I can't do it to this album. I could not toot my horn to this album. I tried.
God, no.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dave. Like it's monotone.
Yeah.
It's a monotone album of uninspired. Just, I mean, it's not even cliche. It's just
It doesn't even
horrifically
reach the
generic.
heights of cliche.
Yeah. It's just horrifically generic.
Yeah.
I had not heard that's what his influences were or where he was coming from, but it only proves to me that he's never heard a Pink Floyd album,
Yeah.
and or know what blues chord progressions are either.
No.
So
When I was listening, I was thinking, this it sounds like something you'd release as like B-sides or like
Yes.
rarities or something like that. Like,
This
And
is
then
what
I
you
was
release
thinking-
as B-sides and rarities when you're 65 years old, you've got
Yeah.
divorced, all your kids are taking all your money, and you need something to live on. Not
Yeah.
your 6th album.
yeah. And I was thinking, like you mentioned earlier in the chat, I was thinking maybe they should have cut this down to like to an EP and just pick the good tracks. But there's not enough good tracks to make an EP.
one
like,
song, and it's not even.
garbage.
I'm not as high on that song as you are. I think the opening song is
yeah, it's
is
alright.
weak level Stained, and then everything below that is just
Ish.
horrific.
Yeah, this was the lowest point for me. This was a struggle, an absolute struggle to get through.
The only way is up, Davey, for you and me now.
And Kyle,
Well, I don't know where Kyle's not going up. Like Kyle tapped out early, Dave. So
I
he's
tapped
just
out on that
shivering us
album for
now.
what? Dysfunction? Break the Cycle, that's when I tapped out. I was like, I can't, no. After that.
yeah,
So
This was, yeah. The
Yeah.
thing is, even if the monotone would have been like handleable, survivable, if it wasn't quite so fucking horrific, if it was
Yeah.
actually a good song that he just repeated, how many times? 13 times. Then
the album
it would
sold
have been more bearable.
500,000. Like Paul's checked
All
his
right,
facts
okay.
checking.
Fact checker.
92,000 in the first week.
so 500,000.
Half a mil.
That's still down
Still-
from 8 million to
Yeah,
500.
it's a wee bit,
It's
aye.
not even
Yeah,
one,
there's a trend here, and it's the
Yeah.
first one on a new record label as well.
Which
I mean,
label
that's
was
worrying
this
if
again?
you've just
Oh, true.
acquired. This is Atlantic.
Yeah.
This one, yeah, it was Atlantic. That's right. Yeah,
So like, if you're Atlantic and you're like, we've finally snagged Stained,
yeah.
and then you're like, these numbers aren't Stained numbers.
Oh, they are. Just everybody
Yeah, I
was
know.
under an illusion before now.
Thought you were going to say kung fu fighting. I was so saying kung fu fighting.
In context, that would have made no sense. It probably would have been a better thing to say.
No, fuck it. It's Stained we're talking about. All
Yeah,
bets are
nothing
off.
makes any goddamn sense. Fuck me. This album, I actually was almost close to tears trying to listen to this fucking thing. It's just... They got a song called "Lost Along the Way." I'm like, yeah, Aaron, you are. What's going on? Rainy Day Parade. Like, did you even give a? They haven't given a fuck for 3 albums, and this one is just like there's not a fuck to give.
No.
It's like they're just like, nah, we got nothing. Here's some shit. Here you go. And I'm gonna sing.
It's the very definition of there's a short YouTube video of this is what I do in my spare time when I can't sleep, which is all the time. There's a short YouTube video of a chihuahua, and this is the second time I've mentioned chihuahuas on this episode, of a chihuahua, and it says like sort of like this is what I'm like when I forget something, and it's a chihuahua kind of smiling like this, about to like bark, and it goes. And it kind of half smiles. That's Aaron Lewis on this album.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you, I'd be surprised if he plays any of this live, because I imagine he'd be like that. Right, I'll play. How does that one go again?
I'd love to interview
play
him.
any
Be like,
of them.
why don't
I'll
you
just
play
play
the
any
Illusion
of
of
them.
Progress live? I'm like, fuck off.
So-
I'm like, ah, you should, dick.
Paul says he recorded it in his bedroom. It's the posh Tormented.
It's not posh anything.
Does that
Posh is like-
posh Tormented? Does that mean he put a condom over himself?
Yeah.
Oh,
then
man.
people he
Try to
tormented
keep
was
it
his
alive,
fucking
keep the people
neighbours
alive.
and the 500,000 people that had to listen to this thing. Imagine paying money for this. Jesus, I think that would have been the most insulting thing. At least I got this for free.
I don't know if you're a
not even worth
Lewis
that
head,
price.
then maybe this is exactly what you wanted. What's interesting is like he did like they do like when we get through the next album, he did go off and just become a solo
Yeah.
artist who just toured
Yeah.
writing and playing horrible shit,
Yeah.
and getting really fussy with his fans. Like if they make too much noise, he goes off stage and then comes back on, which I think is really
Jesus.
funny.
He doesn't have the, like, I mean, you expect Axl
Yeah.
Rose to do that because he's a fucking rock star and he made great songs, like really great songs, and has a great voice. But him doing that is just like, ah, fuck you, I'll go home too, you bastard. I don't give a shit. Get off your stage.
Also, we're saying he's a
Nobody
hardcore
cares.
trumper as well, so
Oh,
he's all about the DT. You know what I mean? So it explains a lot.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it really, really does. Right,
Completely
Dave, let's
devoid
get
of
through this.
anything, including intelligence. Got it.
Unable to say the word China without saying China. So let's get to the final album.
Album number 7, gents.
And what smart name did they come up for this one, Dave?
They cleverly went for self-titled on this one. Stained.
Name writes itself.
Released on September 13th, 2011, on Atlantic, Roadrunner, and Flip Records.
Because no one wanted full
They
blame.
probably had a 2-hour deal with Atlantic, no?
Like
Possibly.
no one wanted full blame on this one. Everyone was like that, right? If we all chip in money, then it's a case we can all point fingers at each other.
Yeah.
There's a certain point where like record labels. This is why I understand. Like there's it's the death of music and all the rest, and everything's fucked, and you know it's not like the old days and all the rest. Record labels caused this.
Yeah.
Like
And
everything,
this is
everything
how.
that we're in just now, it's not illegal streaming. Well, it certainly helped, but it's record labels caused this because this is the most cynical way to do something. Is well, Stained want to do a new album. I mean, we'll put in some money. You put some. We'll all get our money back. What about the album? Well, who gives a fuck about the album? We'll all get our money back on this one. And that is Stain's career. Like the diminishing returns, it is from that high point. It has been going down steadily, but the record label is still putting it out because the money they invest in Stained to get them to record, to get them to do like all this shit, is made back in the first week. It's covered. They've covered all their costs, and if it doesn't do well after that, well, who gives a fuck? They'll go out and tour. We get a cut of that.
Yeah.
So this is the fucking problem. Stained are part of the problem, but it's not the whole problem. Fucking didn't realise I was going to.
How about Aaron Lewis was fucking high on cocaine or something, and he called up Fred Durst, was like, dude, I want to record an album. Fred was like, oh, I feel sorry for the guy. I probably should. He's been down in the dumpster. Did you hear that last album? It was complete shit. And if Fred Durst is calling your album complete shit, you know you've done something fucking wrong.
Oh yeah.
And then I think this one felt like a massive favour to the band, if you know what I mean. Like, it was like, they should have just died and gone off their separate ways in 2008.
Well, that's literally
Yeah.
well, it's kind of what happens after this. So
Yeah.
this
so-
kind of feels
Exactly.
this reeks of a this is one last hurrah before we split up for a while.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Recorded by produced by Johnny Kay, who did the last album. This and Aaron Lewis has went on record to say this was a very stressful experience to record.
because the band are back and they've all
the-
got equal say now. Like,
Well, they weren't recording in the same place. They all recorded separately in different places.
how very Great Southern Trendkill of them.
Yes, and I like from that point of view, I kind of expected from that statement that this might just become the Aaron Lewis show, you know, with them all kind of doing their own thing. But he was also doing a solo album at this time, so maybe that's why this album took the kind of direction it did. This was the last one to feature the drummer as well. He left after this album. But there is, even though it's quite weird, because even though it has been recorded in different places, I did feel like this felt more of a band album than the last one
Yep.
did.
I would agree with that.
Oh, yeah. There's that.
They've kind of got rid of the acoustic guitars, and they have went back to kind of slightly more kind of heavier roots, I suppose, on this one. The first track even opens with a kind of mud shovel type bass line, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit of a
Yeah.
throwback to that. Not quite as
Right.
heavy as like Dysfunction, but it still has
Big Johnny April bringing the bass.
like Johnny April. Still got the melody, but there are similarities to early Stained from like the kind of Tormented and Dysfunction era on this album. Still got the moody, gloomy kind of vocals from Aaron Lewis. But I did feel like musically they were trying to recapture a bit of that edge they had back in the late 90s, mix it with the kind of grungier and alternative elements. Vocally though, he tries to bring some heavier elements to these tracks, but he just can't do it anymore. He's lost any power that he once had is no longer there. He can't scream like he used to at all. There's a couple of moments in this where it just sounds horrendous. Like,
It's kind of less Tyrannosaurus Rex stubbing its toe and more kind of hawk with its beak.
maybe I was like just tired of and sick of listening to Stain by this point, but it just felt like a band trying to kind of cling on to any kind of shred of credibility they had left. Like, I think they tried to spin this like we're releasing an album of heavy shit, but for me it just came off sounding really sad and
Yeah.
unbelievably unimaginative. And as I said, Aaron Lewis's voice, like if you listen to, I think it was Take a Breath, I think the track's called. It sounds like someone that's never tried to scream before, and you know it just comes out all kind of strained and weak as fuck. That's what his scream sounded like on that track.
Be great
However,
black metal singer.
yeah, possibly.
Shots fired out of
it's-
nowhere.
it's-
Out
it's
of
not-
fucking nowhere. I was like,
Shots fired.
yeah.
Fuck Stained and fuck black metal.
It's not the biggest what the fuck moment on this album, however.
Right, Dave, before you even go any further, there's backstory to this, right? There's
Oh, is there?
backstory for me. I had
Uh-oh.
never heard this album. This was the only Stained album I hadn't heard, mostly because I didn't know it existed. I thought they did split up after that previous one.
Okay.
And I'm looking through the song titles, and I'm like that. Oh my fucking god, they covered the Spice Girls. There's a song called Wannabe, right? I think this might be the one that you're on about. I might be wrong. Right, Wannabe comes up. It's track number 4. And I was like, oh my god. It was like a Stained version. You know, just, you know, like, I was like, oh shit. And I hit play.
Yeah.
The new metal finally arrived. This new metal that you were talking about for ages,
Yeah.
it finally arrived on album number 7, where there is a rapper on this one. There is rap vocals. There is a rapper duet, and that's not even a duet. There's a rapper on this song. It's not the Spice Girls, for anyone that got excited there. Don't go rushing to try and find it. It's about people trying to be wannabes, which I thought, wait 1 second, isn't that Aaron Lewis and Stained?
Yeah. Yep. Snoop
So-
Dogg. Fucking Snoop Dogg is on this track.
Yep.
What the fuck?
How did
That-
they?
that-
He must have been high as
that-
fuck. That
Snoop Dogg
entire, yeah.
needed a new pool. That's what I'm saying to you. He
Yeah.
needed a new pool. Yeah.
I'll do it
The
for
dogs
$1 million.
on this one.
Yeah.
It's the one track on this album that really sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, it sounds
Aye.
nothing like the rest of the album. And it's really tragic. It is a very tragic track on this album. Like, I was just thinking to myself, Aaron, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you are 40 years
the
old.
rappers that, like,
Stop it.
I love it about Snoop Dogg. Of all the rappers, you were signed by one who has been on your stuff before. Get Fred back in. Get Freddie boy. You're on flip. Fred should have been there.
Yeah.
Fred's probably the one that hooked that up, by the way.
They probably
And
asked him, and Fred was
reason
just
to
like,
hate him.
nah, no thanks, guys.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it was released on Roadrunner as well. Surely they've got a fucking horde of artists they could have threw on this album with them.
Roadrunner doesn't care.
Nah,
Get part
don't give a
five.
No,
fuck.
they were just in it for the Benjamins. But however, just when I was listening to that track, I was like, this is just fucking unbelievable. So I've written down just a small fragment of some of the lyrics from this track.
Oh, the lyrics are amazing, Dave.
Amazing. So
This is no joke.
was my,
This is no
was,
joke.
This was my favourite part of the track. So lyrics from Wannabe. So the lyrics are, for this one part I loved, I'm selling records. What is it that you do? Sitting in your mama's basement with her shih tzu. Peanut butter on your dick. Right hand going click with your left hand giving you a rim job.
I can't even masturbate right.
Absolutely fucking genius.
I don't think you know what a rim job is. You can't.
No,
do
I
it
don't
with your
either.
hand.
It
Well,
didn't
not
even make
properly.
sense. But oh wow, just horrific. I think
I'm not
some of
gonna
the tracks
lie.
on.
I didn't listen to this album. I couldn't.
oh really?
Kyle, for fuck's sake!
I skipped through
You
it.
had one job.
I skipped through it,
fucking
and that's
job.
all I could take. I'm not kidding. I
Dude,
just
this is not like that wasn't an option. If that was an option, I would have stopped listening. Fucking.
I mean, I was sat here, and I'm not kidding. My wife asked me what was wrong. She was like, "What's wrong? You look awful." And I was just like, "I can't do it. I can't listen to this fucking album." And she was like, "You know, it's a valid opinion too that you can't get through an album." And I'm like, "You're right. I don't have to do this. Fucking fuck it. I know I had
Kyle.
I had
You
one
do have
job.
to do
I
this.
just couldn't."
If we had to do this, Kyle, you have to do this.
This is homework. Like, see, at school, you couldn't go to your teacher and say, "Well, you know what? I just decided I wasn't going to do it." Pass me though, please pass me. Hey, there's no easy way out. Right.
It wasn't
Dave's
an
got my
easy
back
decision,
here.
but I couldn't do it. I couldn't. There was no way. I was about to break down. This was awful. I'd listened to this fucking band for 3 or 4 days. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
So had I.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
So is Dave. The whole point was there was
Pixie's
no
right.
option which was skip the album. The option was listen to the album. Like no one was
couldn't get
happy listening to the
through it.
last album, but
I
we had to
couldn't.
do
I
it.
had to skip through. I was just sat there going, if I do this, I'm actually going to jump off my balcony. And because it's not that tall, I wouldn't die. I'd just break an ankle. Which would be like the last insult from Stained on my life. It's like you jumped off your balcony and broke your ankle. What are you doing? I had to listen to Stain's all of their albums. I skipped through it and I listened to like a minute of each song, and it was just like I
That's
couldn't.
not enough. He's just giving himself a rim job with his left hand.
More than enough.
Go and click with his right hand.
Left hand,
fuck?
right hand.
With
I
his
don't even
mama
know.
in their basement with her shih tzu. Kyle, man.
Yeah.
You missed out on these fucking gems.
Peanut butter on his dick.
Fucking god. Jesus.
Kyle,
Pixie is right.
So outraged.
He should be. I couldn't do it. If my wife's asking me what's wrong because I'm listening to music.
Kearney says it's their best album, Kyle, full of chainsaw Swedish death metal riffs.
Trust me, if I'd have heard anything inspiring, I would have gone back and listened to the whole thing, but I just couldn't. I couldn't take it. I couldn't do it. I was just absolutely just fucking done with Stained.
This album, man.
It's just...
It's I don't even know what to say about it. I think had they released this back in the late 90s, some of it might have worked. Some of it might have landed okay.
I don't
In
know about that.
fucking 2011, however,
No.
it doesn't work at all. It sounds like a band who have completely run out of any ideas they had, and to try and win fans back, they've said like, we're heavy again. Yeah, maybe you are a bit heavier, but your songs still fucking suck. Like,
yeah, you brought a Snoop Dogg to a gunfight. It's not, you know, like it's not a smart move.
it's just, it's nothing you've not heard before from Stained, and it is completely. This is again completely forgettable. There's nothing apart from that one track, which is just so fucking bad. It's good. It's fucking so forgettable.
The thing is with Stained at this point, it's not even nothing you've not heard from Stained. It's just nothing you've not heard from anyone.
Yeah,
Like
true.
Yeah.
a 15-year-old
you're
band
right.
doing their first songs are writing more inspired shit than this, and it's just like, why are you bothering?
This is what I was saying. This is what I was saying before. This is the previous album didn't do well, so we need to try and tick all the boxes of everything we've done before
Yeah, they
to
just
get
haven't
some
got it
sort
anymore.
of
That's
hit
the thing.
to do.
Yeah.
You know, like to do what we can do.
Yeah. What little thing they
and-
did have, it's just dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone.
So yeah, it's I mean, I quite like the production. If we're going,
Yeah,
the
I would say that
production's
as well.
good.
Yeah.
And like, I would agree with Dave. It sounds like a band played on this one, where on the previous album it did not sound like a
Yeah.
band played on the album. So those are positives. And yes, I almost wet myself listening to Wannabe. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, it's not a good album. It's not a good album. And there is a strong reason why the drummers left and then the band disband after this. So go on, wait, hiatus. Which is a fancy word for we will not speak to each other until we all need cash. And then we will come
happening
back
this
together
year.
and then yep. Which is this year with a live album though, the most uninspired reunion ever. A live album which must have been recorded during COVID. So I mean,
And the
jump
hilarious
on
thing
that
is,
bandwagon.
Aaron Lewis has said he doesn't want to tour. He doesn't want to. He says he's got to a point in his life where he doesn't want to constantly tour. He wants to be, if he's playing gigs, he'll play them during the week. Then he wants to be home for the weekend. So it's not even like they want to go out and do big massive tours anymore. So fuck knows what this live album's
Who
all
the
about.
fuck would go see him at this point? I mean, they've just lost
Oh,
everything.
so I
they've...
guarantee it'll sell. Guarantee it'll
Yeah,
sell.
but it'll be like a Peter Andre gig. 4 people will turn up and they'll cancel it.
Hey, whoa, mysterious
mysterious
girl.
girl.
Not kidding. Actually happened in Bournemouth. 2 people bought tickets. 2.
Yes.
So it's like, I wouldn't go see it. Nobody I know would actually go see it. Like, yeah, they had some good songs back in the day, but they fucking suck now. So why would I bother? And having seen the video, I know I keep going back to live videos, but I wouldn't want to pay to go see that show. Even if the songs back in the day were amazing and that's all they played, I'd be like, I don't want to see you cross your arms on stage and treat me like I'm not fucking there. You know?
I think you forgot one thing though. It's one word. America, Kyle. I don't know how much I have to stress this to you. People will go out and see them play.
Yeah.
Like, and they will. Like, if they do
But
a
then
tour,
everybody's going to get on Twitter after and be like, Aaron was too fucking boring, you know?
But that's yeah. But that, like, listen, everyone that's attending their gigs anyway is looking at their phone anyway. So
Yeah, it's true.
Aaron Lewis does not care. Aaron Lewis wants money, right? That is literally, see, at this stage, I'd be happy to pay him not to play.
Yeah.
I
really would.
you know what I mean? Like, if we could set up a GoFundMe for that, I would be happy.
That would be fucking funny.
So
Because it would work.
Yeah.
GoFundMe, please make sure Stain do not play live ever again. It would hit the mark in a day. Aaron would be like,
Yeah.
hey, easiest $10 I made.
I think it is like I think it is possible to return to your roots and make a decent album. I think there have been bands that have done that. Korn, for example,
Yeah,
have done a not bad
absolutely.
job of
it's a different roots though, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like it's like they incorporate things like whether it's a production technique or it's a specific sound. Not the
Yeah.
same as it's not the same as what they were beginning. Money ruins everything for everyone. Well,
thing
that's
is-
just the bottom line. It really does. Like, you can't be hungry and angry when you have a mansion and
Exactly,
beautiful
right.
wife and like you're pampered. You just can't. You don't have the same hunger. Every band ultimately loses their edge.
Yeah, look
the
at
further
Slipknot. When they came out, they were the baddest band. They were fucking scary. Actually, people were scared of them and worried about going to the shows. And now they're like a bunch of clowns.
Yeah, but like on the back of what Pixie's saying but Stain's roots were terrible. Stain's roots were ingrained in what was selling at the time,
Yeah.
and they moved very, very quickly through those first 3 albums, basically replicating what sold.
Yeah.
And then once you get beyond that, that scene's pretty much died off. You're already kind of attached to a certain sound. It's never going to go anywhere. And to be honest, they never, to me, it never felt like, especially after stuff like Chapter 5 particularly, but it never felt like they were a jamming band. You know what I mean?
No.
The songs never felt. It felt like one of them just wrote the guitar part, showed up, everyone else just learned the stuff, and that was it. As opposed to actually writing music together, which is the classic example of this. Is this week I think I tagged Dave, maybe sent it to Kyle as well. Clutch in the studio jamming a song.
Yeah.
I listened to that. It sounds like Clutch, right? But the riff sounded minted.
Yeah.
Everyone looked like they were having a ball jamming it. It might be on the next album. Clutch are what, fucking like 12 albums, maybe even more than that actually, into their career. And they're a band that have went through changes. If you listen to early Clutch is raw and angry as fuck, right? And they're a band that eventually found their bluesy roots because they know what word blues means. Definitely not Pink Floyd. But you know what I mean? They've gravitated to a sound that fits them. And as a result, I still get really excited when a Clutch album's announced. I'm like, yeah, fucking Clutch, like that. And they're a band that like are wildly inconsistent with their albums, and sometimes it's like the first half is great and then the rest isn't. And then other times it's actually they go off in a different direction. Strange Cousins from the West, Dave, where they do something that, and they've never sounded like that's a one-off album. Fucking minted. But that's the like Stained. I don't think Stained ever actually had an identity. Like
That's
a
what I
proper
was going to
identity.
say. Yeah, they went to their roots, but what were their roots? They never had a sound.
so-
They never had. They were just, we're here, hi, and that was it. That's
Their
roots,
sound
yeah.
is probably their sound is the sound that you heard on Tormented,
Yeah,
right? And they've never sounded like they did on Tormented, and that's because very quickly there's a capitulation to writing songs for radio, writing songs for singles, writing songs for, you know, whatever it is, record labels or whatever.
I mean, you can absolutely
That's
do
the
that and the
drop-off
rest of the
point.
album be your thing, and that would have been better.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift does that, not metal, I know, but she writes the poppy fucking song that everybody loves, and then the rest of her album is country songs, and it's like,
Absolutely, TT.
right?
TT for life.
And it's like, you can absolutely live life that way.
Don't
but
you shoot
Sting-
your head at me, Dave Buchanan.
Get off this fucking stream, son.
Hey, you know what you need to do? You need to shake it off. Shake it off. Ooh, ooh. How do you have a daughter, the age of your daughter, and you don't like, there isn't a little bit of Taylor Swift playing in the house?
Listen,
'Cause
I'm
I'm
not
fucking letting her
Raven.
hear
I'm
the
not
good
saying
shit.
I'm a fan. I'm saying there's
But
a way you can
you say you're letting her what?
Let her hear the good shit. None of that
Really?
fucking Taylor Swift bullshit, man. No, I make a little playlist for her. Listen to this. Have a look. I mean, I'm not listening. It's no Cannibal Corpse, but I mean, like, I mean,
Why not, Dave?
I mean, I'm just,
me
you
and
know,
my
easing her in.
7-year-old listened to Cannibal Corpse last week. I was driving her to school, and she was just like, at one point I was like that, and I kind of looked over, and she was just like, I was like, that's it, breathe it in, breathe it in.
Every time
This man buys-
every time I pick up a guitar or a bass, my daughter's like, "Can you please stop?" Like, I haven't even plugged it in yet. Oh, it's great. That's what she says.
Sustained, eh?
Huh?
Sustained, eh?
Stage, yeah.
Oh, we're still on this
We're back in. Just start.
fucking
No,
band.
we have to. The last
let's-
part of this is basically the Metal Epidemic list sorting, which I had to explain to Dave and Kyle that everything can't be bottom. That's not how lists work. There needs to be differentiation between them. So, how do you want to do this? 7 down?
7 down.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Okay. Number 7 on our lists.
This could be interesting because actually Kyle can only give us 6, but
I mean, I listened to parts
That's
of
right,
it.
motherfucker, shots
That's
fired.
all enough. That's all you need to know about this fucking album is 16 minutes. That's it. That's all you need because it's fucking horrific. How long is it? 42 minutes long.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
that
And
is
it's
that's
only
what-
10
suppose
songs.
That's one thing I had going for it. It was only 10 tracks.
it's a
Yeah.
sweet
It's
deal
still
compared to the hour
42
album.
minutes.
Yeah.
That's 3/4 of an hour.
Okay, number 7.
Nobody put Duncan in charge.
No, listen, the last thing anyone wants is me steering the ship, right?
It's pretty much a no-brainer for me at number 7. It is The Illusion of Progress at number 7. That was their worst album.
I sent you guys a message and I said that there was one that was easily at the bottom of the list, and you guys were like, "Oh, easily at the bottom of the list." The Illusion of Progress is easily the worst album Stained has ever done. Easily the worst album that Stained has done. So yeah,
easy number 7. Number 6. I've got to go with that.
Oh, we're
last
not going to
album
go
for me.
7 and then 6 and then 5. I thought we were going to go around like that. No? Okay.
No, we're going to go number by number.
Right.
Number 6 for me is that last album, the self-titled album. That was just a fucking waste of fucking time. Get the fuck with your fucking shite, Aaron Lewis. No interested. Production wasn't bad, and it was only 10 tracks, but that was literally it. That was the only things that had going for it for me. Shite.
I've had more fun in 42 minutes, Pixie, with the stomach flu, vomiting into the bath, into the toilet, than I have listening to that fucking album. It's just...
well, he didn't listen to it. That was the thing. He
Didn't need
not
to.
listen
You
to it.
get
Put
1
Dave
minute
in
of each
charge.
song.
I'm on at Pixie's game here. She's trying to sow the seeds of dissension within the ranks. Well, this is going to be your Stained album, isn't it? And we're all going to disband after this.
I mean, it's got Wannabe on it, so I mean, props for that, because that is just fucking hilarious, but the rest of the album is fucking garbage.
If they'd released this as comedy, it would have sold better.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm gonna side with you here, Dave, because their self-titled album is at number 6 for me. Reasons being short and amazing rap song. Like literally is the great. Like, just give me an album of that. Snoop Dogg is so high he does not know where he is, and I want that. So yeah, that's number 6 for me.
Yeah. Kyle?
Yeah, same.
Same.
Number 7, Illusion Progress. Number 7, Stained.
Nice. I see where this is going. Number 5. Number 5 for me is a bit of a surprise, because I thought this album was way better. 14 Shades of Grey, number 5 for me. Which initially I thought this is going to be an easy listen. I remember liking this. Not so much today. No. First 4 tracks, good. Rest, shite. Number 5, 14 Shades of Grey.
Number 5 for me is Tormented.
Oh, really?
That should not surprise anyone. There is nothing memorable about that album at all. And the production isn't very good. So, yeah.
I mean, considering it's
that
96 and they self-did it, the production isn't bad, but it's not good in any other stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, it's like, there's nothing that can't... Like, I would much rather have the 4 songs that are memorable and, you know, and the rest of the album not to be, than to listen to something, get to the end and go,
yep.
Even I actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm actively against the version of Much of All that's on that album. Yeah, the more I'm thinking of it now, the more I'm like that. I know. It's maybe because I've listened to the other version about 1 million times. But yeah, so there we go. Number 5 for me is Tormented. Still better than the huge amounts of money that were flung at both the self-titled album and the Illusion of Progress. Like, still vastly better, but yeah, that's where it sits for me. Tormented at number 5.
Ooh. Kyle?
14 Shades of Grey.
14 Shades of Grey. Nice.
At number 7.
Number 7, excellent. Number 4 on the list. For me, this album was pretty close to 14 Shades of Grey, to be honest, just ordered in a different way, but it was chapter 5 for me. I think on average it was probably about the same, but the tracks were scattered throughout. The decent tracks were scattered throughout it, so it kind of kept me not interested. None of it was interesting, but it kept me going to get to the end of the album. So chapter 5 is my number 4. Duncan?
And number 4 for me is chapter 5. Thin.
Yes.
Thin, and it made me have to work to find the good songs. Which they are in there, but it made me work to do that. So.
Okay.
So there you go.
Kyle.
Coming in at number 7. It's chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Nice. Nice.
It's crap.
Okay. Top 3, gentlemen. Top 3. Number 3 for me is Tormented. I didn't dislike that as much as Duncan, clearly.
I dislike it. I just don't think there's no hook. There's no hook on
no,
that album.
there's not. But I still preferred the music on that, the stuff on 14 Shades and Chapter 5. I like that heavier side. Yeah, it's raw. Production, as I said, it feels more kind of like a decent demo than a studio album. But I didn't mind that either. And I hadn't heard this until 2 weeks ago. I hadn't listened to this album, but I liked it better than I thought I was gonna. So I'm gonna go number 3, Tormented. Duncan.
Number 3 is 14 Shades of Grey. Has 5 really good songs at the beginning, and then don't listen beyond that. Those 5 really well written songs at the beginning are the reason you listen to the album, and that is it. And I would actually stack those 5 songs against the number 2. There, you know what I mean. So if that was just an EP of those 5 songs,
Yeah.
It might be one of the best things that Stained ever released. So
I'd agree.
there you go.
Nice. And Kyle.
For me, number 3 is Break the Cycle.
Ooh. Interesting.
Because it's got a good start and the rest of it's not. But it's still those songs at the beginning are much better than all of the albums that came after. All together.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Down to the final 2. Number 2. Did we just do number 2 and 1? I don't know. Because you kind of know what our number 1's going to be
Yeah,
after
just
this.
do last 2.
Last 2.
Yep.
Number 2 for me is, and this is a bit of a surprise, to be honest, because this is the album that I thought would probably be in my number 1 spot. But after listening to these albums numerous times, my number 2 is Break the Cycle. It's a strong album. I think it is. I mean, I think the 2 albums I've got left are pretty close to each other. There's not a lot in it, to be honest. But I listened to Dysfunction a couple of times there. And I preferred it for some reason. I just gravitated it more than Break the Cycle. So Break the Cycle was 2. I'm going number 1 is Dysfunction. Duncan.
Yeah, that's right. That's the right order. Number 2 is Break the Cycle. Number 1 is Dysfunction. Dysfunction is the best album they've done. And not only is Dysfunction the best album they've done, it's the most consistent album
Yeah.
they've done.
Yeah, I'd
Because
agree.
even where Break the Cycle is certainly the more polished, accomplished album, like you say, Dave, there was like 2 or
Got
3
that,
songs
yeah.
in the middle which
Yeah.
are a bit fillery. There ain't no filler on Dysfunction. Like, regardless whether you like it or you don't like it, it is a surprisingly succinct album when it comes to it. Like, every song follows, once again, kind of follows a formula, but it is laser precisioned on what they're trying to do. And I'm gonna say a lot of that comes down to our man Terry Day. I think that it has that feel of like something that he was involved with. I just feels very, very, very focused. Break the Cycle, I mean, if you're going to talk, Break the Cycle made all the money because Break the Cycle is the album that makes all the money.
Yeah,
Like, Dysfunction is
big
never
singles, yeah.
an album that makes all the money.
Yeah.
But Dysfunction is the far more interesting album in their entire discography. I don't necessarily think it has the best songs overall, in terms of they have written better songs than other albums, but as a consistent listen from front to back, Dysfunction all the way at number 1.
Nice. And Kyle.
Oh, you're going to be surprised. No, you're not. Number 1 is the same as yours. Yeah, Dysfunction. It is the best out of all of them, as much as I don't really like it because Stained aren't very good at writing songs. For a band that have sold many, many, many millions of albums, they're not very good at writing songs. But Dysfunction is the best of what they've done. And Tormented is the second best stuff of what they've ever done. Because it's kind of got it's got a certain kind of charm. You can sort of see where they may succeed in the future. They never made it happen, but you can kind of see what they could have done. And so for me, it's like, all right, that's the second best thing you ever did. It's the first thing you ever did. So I hope Stained reconsider what they're doing this year and go die in a hole.
The beauty of it is with the kind of COVID restrictions that are still in place, the likelihood of Stained playing Norway or Scotland is slim to none. So
Good.
even if they do go that touring, I don't think they'll be
'Cause
touring anywhere.
The first
that
time they
you'll
come to
be able
Norway,
hear a
I'm going to stand outside the venue with a sign that says "Keep Stained out of Oslo."
Nice.
Leave us unstained, please. It just stained
Excellent.
good.
Oh,
So
eh.
Yeah.
we did it. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. And I'm going to say that next time, because I want to do one of these again.
Yeah,
'cause I
me
think
too.
there were
Do you?
plenty of options, yeah. Next time we won't fuck around and put in a silly one. Like, you guys have ruined it for yourselves.
Yeah.
Next time it's all bands that we fucking love. Right? And we're going to get super serious and super geeky on. There ain't going to be no jokes.
I
but you
did get out
ruined it for
Pixie. Did you
yourself.
not see? There's a clip. I left.
Yep. It's that scene in The Big Lebowski where they get the wrong car.
Yeah.
And John Goodman starts bashing it and he starts screaming at the guy, starts screaming at the boy, this is what happens when you fuck another man in the ass. That is literally what happened with us. We fucked ourselves in the ass.
Yeah.
With Kyle's black stallion. We did that to ourselves because we put Stained as an option. That is a mistake that won't happen again.
That is
You
true.
live and you learn, Dave.
Yeah.
You live and you learn.
Yeah, as much as the music is pretty bad, it was fun to discuss actually.
It was, yeah. I like ragging on Stain. I mean, one, because they're an easy target, but two, because there's just so much to take from their shit songwriting to their shit production to the producer that didn't give a fuck on that one album to Aaron Lewis being a complete cunt stain on the face of the earth, and the way that I hope his entire ancestral history are burning in hell for what they've inflicted upon humanity.
It does kind of feel like the appropriate time to send back a Terminator to find
Yeah.
a young
Yeah.
Mrs. Lewis.
Yeah.
Like, what? No! Fucking shit her in the back.
That's unsanitary. Aaron Lewis is unsanitary.
Literally what we need. Need to send one back.
Okay. So what should we do for our next Twitch stream, you think? What
Not
what you
this, not Stained. I'm happy to discuss any other band. I would discuss the Spice Girls, but
thinking? Let's not.
let's not, because this
Um,
is Metal Epidemic, not David Bowie Epidemic, Kyle.
We don't have to do another band next time. We could do something completely different the next
Oh,
time.
it's like, yeah, we'll find an
Mix it up.
interest. We'll do a topic which allows us to go away and bring obscure shit.
That was fun.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, top five metal guilty pleasures.
Oh, that's a cool one. I've got a few of those.
Metal guilty pleasures. Yeah,
Like
that could work.
ones that you know that you're gonna get some side eye.
Number 5, Stained.
When you mention it.
Yeah. That could be a good one actually.
Aye. So you could go down that road.
Top 5 guilty pleasures. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Top 5 extreme
Look at that.
metal bands. That's easy. Fucking Behemoth just wins. That's it.
But
You heard the Satanist? Come on.
come on.
See, told you.
Pansy metal.
Pansy metal.
Pansy metal.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
the biggest
let's-
behemoth fan actually.
Let's do the top
I kind of
five.
only like the Satanist. All the other stuff.
Yeah,
is
yeah. I'm the same. I'm the same.
And as a future topic, what about top 5 albums you'd recommend to someone who is a metal fan that you think they would not have heard? Top 5
Christ.
obscure
That's-
albums that you love.
Obscure
Because
albums.
we all have them. We all have them. I've got a fucking laundry list of bands that I think are amazing that no one listens to.
Yeah, me too, actually.
So that could be a future option as well. So I will leave it in your capable hands. My work, the brain is tired now. The brain has done all the stuff. It's been funny. It's done Dave Mustaine. It's out of nowhere done Angry Kyle, which is maybe my favourite thing that's ever happened on the podcast. So I've got that out of my system.
I
But
like-
now, like,
I like guilty pleasures actually. That
Yeah,
one's,
I really
could
like
be
that one.
interesting.
Dave
like that.
Mustaine.
yes,
God.
it's all full. You feel that? That's that.
And we
full
did
circle.
Stint. I'm going to send them this logo on Twitter.
Cool.
Like top five guilty pleasures. That Crazy Town album, that OPM album. No, I'm only
Sugar
joking.
Ray.
I'm only joking. Sugar Ray. Oh man, Every morning when I wake up, there's a halo hanging from. No. Answer
I know the song you're talking about.
Close enough. It's close
I
enough.
know that you're home.
I was
wanna
talking about
get
guilty
you
pleasures.
home.
I was listening to Lit the other night. There, remember there?
Oh, that
Popular.
album is a fucking banger.
It is. Yeah, it's a
Absolute
good album.
banger. You make me completely
So good.
miserable.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a good
okay, let's
one.
do that
That's
one.
a really,
Let's
really.
do
That is a. That's a really, really good one. I like because
What's
I
up,
think
man?
there's a
What-
good chance of us not picking stuff that we all 100%. It's not going to be like guilty pleasures. You're not going to pick fucking like an obscure
American
death
Head
metal album.
Charge
I
and
can't
Slipknot,
imagine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be shit like Lit.
Yeah.
Where you're listening, you're like, this is a fucking great album. So yeah, I am 100% behind this idea that I came
Me
up with.
too.
Nice one. Yeah, as I mentioned, join our Discord server. I'm going to post all of those Stained albums that we've talked about on the stream, where you can download them and play them to your heart's content if you really want.
If you
Also,
really want to kill yourself,
you-
that's the
really
file to download. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Should
7
come with a
albums.
disclaimer.
There we go.
Huh?
Temple of Metal. Thank you for posting the link in the chat. Appreciate
Temple
it.
of Metal
It
is a
doesn't-
robot.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's why
Nice.
it keeps just spamming shit. It used to be
It's
the
a
keeper
robot.
of the cowbells, but I had an accident with a bot and a laptop,
Right.
and so I had to get a new bot. And I was like, oh, I own a Temple of Metal. This is it. And I couldn't
Nice.
believe it, but the fucking name wasn't taken on Twitch. You know how
You're
many
talking to
millions of
Dave
users?
and me, who are both turning 40 this year, right? And you're talking to us as if we should understand.
No. This is why I'm
like,
explaining
bot.
it.
And I got
It's
myself a
robot.
bot, and then the laptop did like that. I'm literally
Yeah.
going, all right, aye.
Oh, a bot, aye.
A bot, aye.
Yeah.
I one of
Is
those
that
things that do the hoovering for you. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I've seen them.
It's a
Aye.
vacuuming
The
bot,
Zimbas,
except for Twitch. Yeah.
Zimbas, Dave.
Zumba. Isn't that the?
Zimba's the dance. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. It's a Roomba. A Roomba's the thing that sweeps up.
Okay.
So it was a dad joke. It was a total dad joke, and it fell flat,
Yeah.
like a lead balloon.
Even though we're all dads.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's do Guilty Pleasures on the next Twitch stream, which will be the end of May. Don't know what date that'll be, but we'll post it in the Discord.
Yeah.
So Stained has drained us. Of,
It
Yeah, it
has.
really has.
drained.
Oh, I need
Drained
to-
is the name of that band.
Drained.
Like, drained.
I meant to
yeah.
record a song tomorrow, and I don't think I can actually do it. I think I just need to take a day off from everything and just.
Oh, do Stain covers.
Oh, that'll be funny. I'll be like, "Hey, Stain, this is how you write a fucking song.
Do Stain covers.
Here's the bits that were good, and I cut out all the shit, and there you go. Look at that!
Nine
It's 4 of
string.
your songs in one, because you couldn't write one consistent song that was good all the way through. You bunch of useless dicks."
I
Oh
got
my
him angry
God.
again. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I knew I could do it. I had one left in me. I knew I had one left in me.
Train.
I was only going to write a fucking song. Oh man, so happy. So all my work here is done. Oh,
Yeah, limited to
relax.
metal guilty pleasures, or I'll go David Bowie again.
yes. I think because I want there might be a wee pop punk album in there.
Yeah, I
that
think we
would
can,
be
we
good.
can stretch to pop punk and punk maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that feels fair.
Okay.
I might surprise you by bringing a band that you've never heard of before called the Nine Inch Nails. I'm all joking.
And then I was just say,
As directed
Consider-
by what's his name? Fuck. Twin Peaks dude, David. What's his name? Lynch. There we go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah, the
in
Nine
the new
Inch Nails.
season. That's what he comes out and says. It's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
Like in the third season, at the Roadhouse, which is the kind of venue bar place. In the whole third season, he actually got proper recording artists that David Lynch was a fan of to come out and play songs to close out each episode. However, in the greatest episode ever, episode 8, where everything goes atomic and black and white, and it's fucking. However, that got made on TV is beyond me. The wee old announcer guy comes in and goes, "The next band is the Nine Inch Nails," and then Trent Reznor et al. Come out and play "She's Gone" in a rendition that makes my dick hard. By the way, 2-time Oscar winning Trent Reznor.
Mm-hmm. Won it a few days ago.
I remember having a conversation with a guitarist that used to be in our band, not that one, the other one, who told me he just didn't get Nine Inch Nails. And he didn't understand why I didn't like Devin Townsend. And I said, because Devin Townsend's boring. He's like, oh, he's a genius. I was like, well, how's he a genius? And he's like, well, he took a genre of music and a style of playing that people weren't familiar with and made it really popular. And I was like, isn't that Trent Reznor?
Yeah.
I rest my case, ladies and gents. I rest my case.
Where's Devin Townsend's fucking Oscars? And Grammys?
Exactly. Nowhere.
And Emmys.
Nowhere.
The only thing he hasn't won is a Tony. But now he's
Give him time, Lowenstein.
And now he's involved with live theatre production, so he might just win a Tony in a year or two.
Yep.
So fuck Devin Townsend.
Only
I know his bassist,
Grammy nominated, only Grammy nominated artist that has the words fist fuck in the song that was nominated.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Dave is like, I've listened.
As
to
you can
Stained
tell, Dave is
for a
the
week.
biggest Nine Inch Nails fan on this podcast.
Love them.
One day, I was right about Dysfunction. It only took us 20 odd years to prove that I was right about Dysfunction. Give me time on Nine Inch Nails. No. I'm never wrong, Dave. Never wrong.
I'm afraid so.
I actually feel like there is no end to how smug I am right now. I feel like I have to kind of tone it back. It's like I'm really to the point where I'm actually making myself cringe by how smug I am. So
Nine Inch Nails overrated. Get fuck out. Just
that's
get
Paul.
out.
That's Paul.
it.
Paul.
Yes.
Paul who said.
Yes.
Paul who said. No, this is Paul who said. Let's all listen to Stained. So yeah, once
Oh,
again,
it's
Paul,
true.
You have
Yeah.
no power here.
Overrated.
Tell you
have
what,
no power here.
you made us all listen to Stain, so get out. Come back in. Nine Inch Nails overrated. Get out again. By Paul. He expressed more feelings in the
Guys-
last couple of hours than I've had all year. Stained will do that to you. Stained will make you
Yeah.
red in the face with anger at how fucking horrible they are and how
No,
they've
I'll
made
make Kyle
how
red in
they've
the
sold
face.
so many albums off that absolute shit that they've
Still
written. It's just unfair. It's just like it's the most depressing
Kyle,
thing about music.
It's okay.
It's
over.
not
all right.
okay. It's
over.
not
It's
okay,
over.
Dave Duncan. It's
It's
not.
over. It's all over. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Listen,
You're
listen.
in your happy place.
You're in your happy place. I know it's been a while since you've been there. but
Ah. I've got my emotional support Kaku demon. I'm gonna hug it for a bit.
since I gone and fucked things up just like I always do. Yeah, you do. Your songwriting is fucked up. And all that shit seems to disappear when I'm with you.
Stained make you appreciate. No, they don't, because they're not even close to the level of better bands. They're just like a bit of shit on your shoe. You're like, all right, get off me. That's it. They don't make me appreciate the shoe more because it's not made of
Kyle
shit.
a laugh. I was listening to, not that I want to big us up as better than other more established publications, but I'm gonna. So I was listening to an interview, because at the moment I'm on a bit of a Morgan Lander kick, because she did that song with, what was it, We Hate Pigs, or We Are Pigs, or whatever it was, and it's fucking, that's like, whoa. And then, like, I started sending you guys, or maybe it was just Dave, like, videos of her, like, just jamming with other musicians, and it was fucking really, really, really good. And for those that don't know, Morgan Lander is singer of Kitty. And so but also what I didn't know is, I listened to a podcast called Witchfinger, and I've been listening to it for a couple of years. And she's one of the hosts on it. It's a horror podcast. Did not fucking know. Never even clicked. And she says her name on it all the time. I never fucking clicked. Never clicked. But anyway, she was being interviewed by the Doc. What's his name? Doc Coyle, is it?
Doc Coyle, yeah.
Yeah, the
From
guitar student.
God forbid.
One of the A&R people from Seasons of Mist. And some other guy who was just a complete dickhead. Who was probably writing for some publication or involved with some record label, and they had her on as a guest to talk about nu metal, right?
All right.
And the resurgence of nu metal. I think the interview's from a year ago. I'll post it somewhere, like Discord. I'll post it in Discord, which will force me to use the Metal Epidemic Discord. I'll post it. And what was really interesting, like, they were talking about and when I was talking earlier on about are Stained actually a new metal band? I don't personally think they are, but bands being lumped in there, and they all had to at the end recommend one band that you would lift up to the attention of other people, and one band that if you could get rid of, you could get rid of. And as you can imagine, people started pussying out pretty quick. Those that still in the music business, as in like Doc Coyle wouldn't name any bands because he's like that. Listen, these guys are my friends. I'm not gonna that. But the band that both he and Morgan Lander raised up was Nothing Face, and I was like, that it's the very band you raise up, because Nothing Face were never big. The woman from Season of Mists band that she would raise up was, this is honestly about fucking screamed at my computer. The band she'd raise up was Slipknot.
What the fuck?
You know, the unheard of band Slipknot. The band that she would get rid of altogether, wait to see Kyle's face right now, that she, in the new metal genre, Machine Head. Look at him! Look at him. To which she said that she thinks Machine Head are one of the most disingenuous bands she's ever seen. Shit live. Like, just this fucking full tirade, and I was just like, eh?
What?
Right, they had that one new metal album and it was awful, but she was talking whole career. So there we go. I'll post that link in the Discord. You need 20 minutes long. It's totally worth your attention. Totally worth your attention.
Check that out. Nice
So,
one.
yeah. So that's how I know we're doing the Lord's work over here, or Satan's, whichever your proclivity is, because we just listened to, well, almost all of us listened to all 7 Stained albums.
Yeah,
Kyle. There's going to be
I
penance. There
skipped
will
through
be a
it.
fucking
I
reckoning.
counted. It was 16 minutes of that last album. That's more than enough to make an opinion. All right.
Yep.
Fuck Stained. Fuck 'em.
Kyle's on the outside.
Look, you can't see this right now. I wish I could share the screen. Actually, I can. I wonder if it'll work. Can I just share?
I debated Raven the Shade, and then she's taking the E out of it because Stained.
Oh no, I fucked it. I fucked it. I fucked it.
Fucked it. He's fucked it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. Machine Head were fucking amazing live. I've seen them 3
Yeah.
times live, and each
Machine
of the
Head
times
are
I've seen
insane
them,
live.
they're
Well,
amazing live.
yeah.
Also, they may have a new metal album, but they're not a new metal
No,
band.
no way.
So the fact that she conflated that, she's a music industry professional,
I know.
and that's just where I was like. And then there was the other guy that was like that, yeah, all new metal, but the dickhead guy, who basically said that all new metal bands are. How did he describe this again? All new metal bands are. Oh well, he said the band that he would get rid of is Breaking Benjamin. I was like, not a new metal band, an alt rock band, but that's fine. But he said all new metal bands are have to merge hip hop and metal. And I was like that.
What?
No, that's
No.
not true either.
Hello?
That's literally not true. That's
No.
the worst thing you could ever say. And he was called out in it
Good. Should
by
be.
Big Doc Coyle, who.
Yes,
was too
Paul, you
chicken
can
shit to
apologise for
mention a
Stained. You
band.
should apologise for Stained, and you should never stop apologising for Stained. Sorry, Duncan, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, like at this point, I'm just loving the fact that everyone's triggering you. So it's not just me and Dave. Like everything's triggering you. So
It's just, I can't believe how, I just can't. It's just, how
you're
do
like
you
an
make such
angry
a...
Michael Caine. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You're always supposed to blow the bloody doors off. So good, man. It's so good.
I can't imagine the albums you're going to send me now.
Oh,
Like, no more death metal, no
yeah.
more stuff I like. It's going to be like just... What was that one band we listened to? 158 Silence or something that were just fucking horrible.
Can't remember who that was.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah,
let's see.
156 Islands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that
I
on
quite
there?
liked it.
You were
I
the
can't
only
even
one.
remember it.
Yeah.
No, that was the Beaver Core.
Beaver Core.
That was funny for about 15 minutes and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the album was only 20 minutes long, so I
Yeah.
mean,
Got some Hermit Core coming for you. Keep your eyes on the YouTube channel.
I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make fame and attention and clicks off the back of my inability to describe a vision in my head when I'm listening to something. I will say that album though, when it drops, is the fucking tits. Still listening to it. Still playing it loads. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. So
I went back and
It's
listened to it a
just
couple of times again. I'm still happy with my score. I'm not going to tell you what I scored it, but I'm still happy with that score.
I think
believe
It's
end
been
of
in
the
my
year,
rotation. I didn't think it would be, but it has actually crept into my rotation. So I'm like, I want
I
to listen
think
to that again.
20 years from now we'll do one of these list episodes and Dave will admit that he had the wrong grade.
It's only a 0.5, but you know, I'm happy with the score I picked for that. Speaking of which, we will be recording our next podcast next week. I think is it next week?
Yep.
Possibly next week.
Yeah, officially next week, yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll be dropping probably end of next week online. There may, so I've heard anyway, there may be a competition on our next podcast.
These never work out well.
You need to check it out to find out.
Dave forgets to send the prize out, and like 6 months
No.
later, you'll still be chasing them up for it. You'll go on an apology
might
tour. Stop. We'll fight. Good prize, bad prize,
Yeah,
indifferent
it's all right.
prize.
I got some prizes in through the post from a very nice PR company.
Oh,
So
physical
I'm gonna be-
prizes. Ah.
Yes, physical.
Let's get physical.
I knew that was
physical.
coming. Just knew it.
I wanna get physical. That's the segment. We play that before the competition. As I
Back
said, the
prize.
segment is
Stained.
great. Yeah, that's what people don't know. It's a download link to the Stained albums again. But Dave's changed the names of them all to things like Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
And you click it and it's I'm on the outs. No, fucking no.
Okay, gentlemen. I feel like it's about that time.
It's about that time to put that band to bed forever.
I mean, we've been recording for
I put
a
myself
while.
to bed. I was talking about.
A while. Might take
The
next
joke
week.
that
off.
just keeps on giving. It's not even funny anymore, but it
know.
makes me smile. Every time, it just makes me smile. I'm like, this is amazing.
Fixie would have to do a murder if you sent her a download link to all the Stains albums. So I'm fucking coming for you. Where's Scotland again? Oh man, yeah, this was I want to say fun. My throat hurt, so it should have been fun.
It's been fun for me. I thought this is fucking amazing.
I've never been so irrationally angry at a band before in my life, and I can't explain it. I think it's just because they're so bad, but they're so successful. It's like just doesn't add up. It's just like 8 million albums. This fucking shit song. I don't get it. Anyway, we'll be doing this again next month with a new topic, which I forgot was
Yeah.
guilty pleasure albums. 5 of them.
Top 5 guilty pleasure albums.
Yep. Bring your albums to the Twitch stream.
Yeah, everyone's invited.
Yeah,
Automatically
well,
pretend to
that's a
hold
good,
a knife.
that's a good point. Like while we're talking, while we're doing it, like it would be really good to hear what your guilty pleasure albums are.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. So bring them.
Yeah.
I'll be tweeting about it. Everyone will be tweeting about it. We've got podcasts coming up and album reviews. Do we doing reaction videos soon as well?
I think we should. We haven't done any for a wee while.
Well, yeah, we should bring something back. So,
Yeah.
and
that.
for those that don't know, end of this week, in fact, Friday, new Gojira album.
Ooh.
Word on the
Fortitude.
street is, and by that I mean YouTube, that us three really liked it. So, which I was shocked by because I genuinely thought I was going to be the last man on the hill trying to defend Gojira as much as possible.
It's not
but yeah,
true. That
if you
band,
listen to the
strength
review,
to
it's up
strength.
on YouTube.
Yep.
It's out
This
Yeah.
Friday. Yep.
this Friday.
Yep.
Comes
Yeah,
out.
it's out this Friday. Our review's already up though, so you can jump across, listen to us talk for about 44 minutes about Gojira. It's a long review, but I think listening back to it, which I don't usually do, but I was curious. Listening back to it, it was kind of. I think we did a good job expressing our feelings on the album.
Yeah.
Did. I think the length was warranted for that because there's a lot to get through on that album.
Yeah. I thought so.
And
as well.
It's going to be one of the. If it doesn't, I mean, by publications, I'm not saying myself, but by publications, if it's not like if your Metal Hammers and all the rest don't have it in like the top 5 albums of the year, then someone has not sent out enough checks.
Definitely not. Where's my check?
Well, Dave got it. Yeah, everything gets sent to Dave.
Yeah. And he's
in the
like,
post.
no, you didn't get one. Don't know what
COVID.
happened. got lost. By the way, here's my new boat. Didn't seem 44 minutes. That's what we aim for. Long reviews that don't seem like it. Man.
Bring it in, Dave. We're now waffling. People don't need the waffle.
Yeah.
This is what we do when we hit stop on the record, and then we sit and chat for a fucking hour about shit, and then Kyle, it's like 3 a.m. for him and all that bullshit.
It's
Bring
only
it home.
5-1, actually.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Twitch. Much appreciated to all you guys in the chat watching this. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. We've had a blast once again, and we'll be back at the end of May, the last Wednesday in May, whatever date that is, with our next Twitch stream. But I'll be posting lots about it in the Discord stream, Discord channel, so be sure to check that out, and you get all the details in there. Kyle, over to you, my friend.
Yeah, do everything Dave said, do everything Duncan said, which involves lots of pop. I'll be back on Friday making metal songs. I won't be performing because my arm is actually still fucked from playing guitar. It's been 3 weeks. I am getting old. So
Playing guitar,
It's been 3 weeks.
playing guitar.
guitar.
Yeah, it's long enough. Sometimes it's even strung up. Anyway. No, I recorded. I've recorded an album and 2 new songs for another EP that I released both the past couple of weeks. So I'm fucked, and playing a 9-string guitar takes a lot of effort. So
Yeah,
Self-inflicted then. What you're saying
Yeah.
is it's a self-inflicted
Yeah, it is.
injury because you bought that guitar. So.
I did, and I love it, and I can't get enough of it. Clearly, so I'll be producing more of Zeke's song or something else because I got loads of metal to write. So I'll be doing that. So if you want to learn how to mix metal and produce it, be here on Friday, and I'll tell you how. And it won't be any bullshit because why would it be? Anyway, so that's that. Yeah, I'll see you Friday. We'll see you on YouTube. I'll be around Discord. Get the Discord if you're not. Check us out on Twitter.
Discord. Metalepidemic.com. Check out the written reviews. Raven, Kearney, they've got reviews on the website. Check them out.
Yeah. So until then, we'll see you guys later.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
This thing somehow pulled me.